Young king, they tried to bury you, but the Most High see everything. Hold on, baby, we coming. Karmelo! We know they lied on you, young man. Hold on.
We coming to get you.
I just know God gon' reset this case. Karmelo,
You coming home. Karmelo.
we coming to get you home. Please protect this baby. He didn't know they was gon' do that. Hold on.
Karmelo.
They painted the picture all wrong, tried to make you the villain, but the ancestors watching and the truth keep on revealing. Copper color warrior just trying to make it through. They came for your peace, now the whole hood praying for you. Eddie, you and Metcalf, y'all names ringing in the street. No, I don't think Karmelo done it, I think it was you, Eddie, and that damn Metcalf. I said what I said. The system full of lies, but the Most High ain't dead. Karmelo, we know they lied on you, young man. Hold on.
We coming to get you.
I just know God gon' reset this case. Karmelo,
You coming home. Karmelo.
we coming to get you home. Please protect this baby. He didn't know they was gon' do that. Hold on.
Karmelo.
Black boy in America, they fear your very existence. One wrong move and they twist the whole damn instance. But we see you, Karmelo. Spirit too strong to break the father's child. Bloodline covered, hell can't overtake. We marching with prayers, we posting up with the facts. Soft skin folk ain't kin folk, but the real ones got your back. Peace be still in the storm while the devil do his dance. But justice rolling in like the Mississippi in a trance. I said what I said. You ain't alone, young man.
We coming.
We coming.
We coming.
God gon' reset it. So hold it, Karmelo. We coming to get you home. From the Delta to the world, we lifting up your name strong. No more lies, no more cages for the innocent ones. The Most High got the gavel, victory already won.
Karmelo.
You coming home.
We coming to get you.
We coming to get you.
We coming to get you. We coming to get you.
Karmelo. Hold on, we know they lied. God gon' reset. You coming home, baby. I said what I said. We coming to get you.
Right. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. I know I told y'all I was going to be here at 5 o'clock, but honey, the time just gets away from you. Okay, I swear time has literally sped up. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get into it. Hold on, I'm pulling up some things here. All right. Okay, so let's see who's here. Nubia Ra, okay, Juju, Deronda, Pearly, Cookie. All right, let's get into it. Red Wine Entertainment, DJ The Truth TV, Truth Brown. Shout out to you for another banger, beloved. Okay, To Be Surreal is here. All right, Diane is here. Let's get into it. Leon, Desmond's Nefarious Self, Pincy, Lola. All right, Alice, I see you, beloved. Lillian X is here. Okay, Delano. All right. Dark Tube is here. Okay. With that all being said, and let's get ready to get into it. Hey, Greta Lee, G from the land. Ashkan is here. All right. 57 Beige Fox. Okay. So with that all being said, I see you, POP. Cookie. Okay. So with that all being said, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we'll get started. Hello, take heed. All right. Here we go. Don't forget to hit that like button. The likes don't be liking, okay? I put in too much work. Y'all got to get those likes up. Thank you.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. You can also find her products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, and so that all being said, let's get ready to get black into it. Now, as I told you all, when I read the motions to you all yesterday, the paperwork, we went through it. Silly me, I didn't look through everything, so I didn't even know that Mike Howard's affidavit spilling all the tea was in there. Okay, somebody told me in the chat to read it, but I didn't know I even had it. I told them to send it to me. How crazy is that, right? Y'all know sometimes I'm slow. I have too much going on in my mind. Hello, Shalvit. Okay, Pearly, I think I missed you. Just anticipate. Okay, now with that all been said, hey, Queen Shay. So we're going to get into it, okay? I'm about to pull that up. I see you, Claudette, beloved. I'm going to put this on the screen. We got to go through it. Now, some of you may have already seen it. Motor City East Side. Hello, beloved. Okay, Trisha, I see you. All right, so we're going to go through this. It's about 10 pages. So I'm going to read it a bit quickly. Not too quick, but y'all know what I'm saying. Okay. Let me see if that's the one I want to use. Yeah, I'll use that one. Okay, let's get into it, honey, because this is all nefarious. Who knew the Metcalf's twins had been arrested? Did y'all know? Because I sure didn't. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because I did hear about the police being at their residence a few times. And, I want you all to pay attention to how they tried to paint Karmelo Anthony in such a bad light. All the stereotypical BS that they tend to say about black folk, the Metcalfs are the epitome of it, okay? Raised a couple of racist thugs, all right? That's what they did. They raised some bullying thugs, okay? That's what they did. And a no good father who taught them to be just as racist and a bully just like him, in my humble opinion. Now, here's what it says. Let's get into it. Affidavit of Mike Howard, the low down dirty dog who failed to do his due diligence in representing Karmelo Anthony. May he be sued and hopefully go to prison one of these good old days. So before me, the undersigned notary public, on this day personally appeared Mike Howard, who being by me duly sworn, deposed the stated as follows. I, Mike Howard, am at least 18 years of age, of sound mind, and I'm competent and qualified to make this affidavit. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein and that they are true and correct. I declare that I was the trial counsel supported by second chair co-counsel Toby Shook, third chair co-counsel Tasha Gumta, and briefing appellate co-counsel Michael Maula, who represented Karmelo Anthony in case number, we know the case number, I'm not even going to say it, leading up to the June 1st, 2026 trial of this case. Now, the defense and prosecution reached an agreement where the prosecution and defense jointly agreed to not raise any alleged character, reputation, or extraneous offenses, bad acts, okay, evidence relating to Mr. Anthony, as well as Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf during the trial, hereinafter referred to as the agreements. Y'all hear this bullshit? Now, the lead prosecutor in the case, Bill Werski, brought up the possibility of the agreement a number of times, well before the agreement was discussed in detail and eventually reached. When mentioning a proposed agreement, Mr. Werski proposed that we try the case clean, which he defined as based on what happened under the tent that day, under the Memorial High School tent at the Huey Kendall Stadium on April the 2nd of 2025, and not go into character, reputation, or extraneous offense and or bad act evidence applicable to either Austin and Hunter Metcalf or Karmelo Anthony. And like I told you all right there, that's how you know the rig was already in. Okay, because why would he not want to do that when he knows Karmelo didn't have a bad character? Everything about Karmelo could have helped and benefited him during his trial. Okay, but these thugs, it wouldn't have helped them at all. It would have made them look like the bullies that they in fact were. Okay. So with that all been said, on May the 5th of 2026, Mr. Shook and Mr. Worski discussed this proposed agreement by phone. During that phone call, Mr. Shook and Mr. Worski discussed the evidence of character, reputation, and extraneous offense, bad conduct as it applied to both the Metcalf twins and Karmelo Anthony. Mr. Worski reiterated that he would be happy to try this without getting into character at all, just on what happened the day of the track meet. Yeah, and we all know why. Now, just imagine if Karmelo had the background that they, in fact, have. Okay, just imagine. You think he'd want to do that then? Of course not. Okay, he'd want to leave no stone unturned. Now, on May the 8th of 2026, the defense and prosecution teams met in the Collin County Grand Jury Room. Hold up right there. Do you all remember when I had Morris Dwayne Turner on here? Didn't he say that, in fact, Mike Howard was doing his job? You know, he got the bail the bail lowered for Karmelo, and then all of a sudden he went and had this meeting with the DA. Do y'all remember he said it? He went and had a meeting with the DA, and then all of a sudden things changed. That's likely this meeting that we're talking about right here. Anyway, let's continue. So the prosecution team gave us a document entitled State's Notice of Intent to Use Extraneous Offenses, hereinafter State's Notice, and we gave to them a document entitled Anthony's Motion in Limine regarding the admissibility of pertinent character trait evidence under the ambiguous aggressor rule, and evidence under Texas Code. Okay, we're going to skip all that. After tendering to each other our respective extraneous filings, briefings, we then discussed the proposed agreement, which Mr. Worski referred to as a gentleman's agreement. That means a shady backdoor deal. Okay, that's what that is. Now, Mr. Worski outlined the proposed agreement as follows. Both sides try the case without character, reputation, or extraneous evidence for either the Metcalf twins or Karmelo Anthony, and just try the case based on what happened under the tent. And during another description, during that meeting, what happened on the day of the incident, okay, seeking clarification, I asked, and Mr. Worski confirmed that this would mean that the defense would not go into evidence relating to the Metcalf twins' character, reputation, and extraneous offenses or acts related to violence. Okay, violence. This is a case of self-defense. Someone's accused of murder. They're saying they fear for their safety and were simply defending themselves, okay? But you want to leave out the fact that the people that they got into it with were violent, known for violence, bullying, inclusive of discipline, and write-ups in the Metcalf twins school records within this framework, as well as racism. Did not tell you they were racist devils, just like their no good father, who is the real watermelon felon, in my opinion. In exchange, the prosecution would not go into character, reputation, and extraneous offenses, acts, evidence related to Karmelo Anthony, inclusive of the contents of Karmelo Anthony's cell phone and school disciplinary records. At this meeting, I saw clarification on how part of this is covered up because of this line they drew through here. I can't really say it. I saw clarification on how can't tell what it says. Okay, opening the door to this evidence from either side. During this meeting, Mr. Worski repeatedly expressed his concern that the defense would kick open its door by asking questions of witnesses that would delve into issues restricted by the agreement. I asked about specific statements made by witnesses interviewed by police and captured by video on the day of the incident, where those witnesses discussed the Metcalf twins being passionate, triggered, and not tolerating being disrespected, etc. When the truth comes out, please pay attention. Mr. Worski eventually agreed that questions narrowly tailored to ask about specific statements that, hold on. that the witnesses made to police about the incident under the tent on April the 2nd of 2025, including statements just described about the mindset and actions of the parties involved in the incident, would not constitute kicking open your own door, and thus would not violate our proposed agreement. During this meeting, we discussed the terms of the agreement, being that testimony from eyewitnesses from under the memorial tent on April the 2nd of 2025, and who were discussing the facts of what happened under the memorial tent on April the 2nd of 2025 would be permissible, and that neither side would go into character, reputation, or extraneous evidence for either the Metcalf twins or Karmelo Anthony. Now, during this meeting, I also asked about the agreement regarding the possibility of the defense calling experts. The prosecutors only discussed how the agreement would apply to defense experts during the sentencing phase. So I asked how the possibility of the defense calling experts to testify during the guilt and innocence phase would impact the proposed agreement. The prosecutor team replied that they had not considered us calling experts to testify during the guilt and innocence phase. They stated that if the defense called experts to testify regarding Mr. Anthony's epilepsy or about a fight or flight response, they considered expert testimony like that to violate the agreement, and thus opened the door to character, reputation, and extraneous offense acts and evidence. Now I want you all to pay attention. So see, it sounds like what Mike Howard is doing here. You know what it sounds like Mike Howard is doing here is trying to make an excuse for himself to justify what he did. Basically trying to act as though, well, I made this agreement in Karmelo's best interest because I didn't want them to go dig up prior bad acts or any trouble that he may have gotten into in school. And so I just agreed to this. I didn't know that it was going to mean that I couldn't, in fact, call expert witnesses in until after I'd already agreed to it. No. Get the F out of here, because if he was really doing his due diligence, okay, he would have known that Karmelo had nothing to be ashamed of or nothing that would harm him in the trial in his background, okay? This man was throwing the case the whole darn time, all right? He was throwing it the whole time. Just a low down. Now, on May 11th of 2026, Mr. Worski, Dewey Mitchell, Mr. Shook, and I discussed the proposed agreement again by phone. I informed the prosecution that we had an informal agreement on the proposed agreement, but that we needed to have a final conversation with Mr. Anthony and his parents to confirm the final agreement. During this phone conversation, Mr. Worski confirmed that the agreement would extend to the sentencing phase of the trial as well. Mr. Worski said that would mean that in accordance with the agreement, the prosecution would quickly rest its sentencing case in chief without going into any of the allegations listed in the state's notice. Mr. Worski said, however, that he would not allow a false impression to be presented to the jury by a defense witness, and that if such a thing occurred, he would respond by going into character, reputation, and extraneous evidence from the state's notice. After the defense asked about an Anthony family member testifying at sentencing, Mr. Worski agreed that the agreement would cover Mr. Anthony's mother testifying to the standard. I love my son. Please show him mercy. That type testimony, but no further. So they literally were telling her what to say. Okay, telling her what she could or couldn't say when she got up there to speak for her son. Now, here's the thing that ticks me off. The Anthonys don't seem to be that darn smart. Okay, I just got to call it like it is. They don't seem to be that smart. They seem like a pair of very naive, simple-minded Black folk. I'm sorry, it's true. Part of this is their fault. Okay, because first of all, they should have listened to their pastor, the bishop, and never hired him in the first place. Okay, that's what they should have done. He wanted them to hire a Black attorney, and that's what they should have done. This is so ridiculous. Okay, a lot of this is their damn fault, and I'm so mad about it, okay? I am so mad about it because they just seem like they weren't thinking. They seem like a couple of good Negroes who just do whatever massa tells them to do and don't think for themselves. And how you know they're not that darn smart, sadly, it's true, because they actually befriended Charleston White, thinking that this clown, okay, who said all sorts of things in the past that are absolutely egregious and nefarious, who has been accused of even raping his own cousin. You all remember I reported that months ago, who actually said out of his own mouth that a club owner's children, okay, should be raped. This is what he said. And the man was on Jeff Metcalf's side in the first place and talked all the trash about Karmelo, but they thought it was a good idea to befriend this clown, and look where that got them. But let me continue because this is a sad matter. Now, that being said, and then what's he talking about? Worski talking about a false impression. Anything they would have said about them that was in their history would all have been true. There was no false impressions to be made. The only false impression was to act like those two thugged out devils with their racist selves raised by a thugged out dad. Okay. The only thing is the fact that they lied about them being the thugs that they are. That was the false impression. Okay. Please. Anyway, goes on to say on May the 21st of 2026, the defense and prosecution teams met with Judge Roach in his chambers. During that meeting, both sides explained the agreement to the judge, describing it again as both sides agreeing not to go into character, reputation, or extraneous evidence as it applies to both sides during both guilt, innocence, and sentencing phases, as long as no doors are opened or false impressions given. Now, we agreed that the best way to document such an agreement would be for the defense to draft and file a motion in limine applying to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence applicable to all witnesses, so it would cover both the Metcalf twins and Mr. Anthony, but if made public, would not trigger reporting in the media about bad act evidence specific to certain witnesses, thus endangering a fair trial. Do y'all hear this? He said endangering a fair trial. Now I want you all to pay attention with the well, I can't even get my words out. I'm so mad. I want you all to pay attention to what the play is here. He's trying to act Mike Howard, that is. As he's writing this or having this drafted, what he was doing was trying to portray it as though he was so concerned about his clients. Okay, like he was doing all of this bullshit because it was at the behest of Karmelo. Okay, that's talking about so it wouldn't prevent a fair trial. There was no fair trial, and this is why. This is why. Because he willfully and knowingly excluded exculpatory evidence. That's what the devil did. He needs to be in jail. He needs to be disbarred. Okay? That's exactly what he did. Talking about filing motions in limine. Please sit down somewhere. Okay? I mean, this is all so egregious. And by the way, a motion filed in limine basically just means at the start, okay, in the beginning. So let me continue. So it goes on to say, okay, so, but if made public, would not trigger reported in the media about bad acts, evidence specific to witnesses, thus endangering a fair trial. Now, on May the 21st of 2026, I drafted the motion in limine as described above and sent it to Mr. Worski by email. It was hand delivered to the judge on the opening day of trial. Now, the defense understood the agreement with the prosecution to cover all witnesses who could be called to testify by either the prosecution or defense about the incident that occurred between Mr. Anthony and the Metcalf twins. Now, listen to this. Do y'all hear this? He literally said the incident that occurred between Mr. Anthony and the Metcalf twins. So he admits that it was more than one person. Are y'all paying attention? Did y'all catch that? And other teammates. Okay, now tell me he wasn't jumped. Who's going to say it? Who's going to say it? Okay, who's going to say it? Where the devil's at? Okay, they can come in the chat today. Funny, I don't see any of the trolls. Right now, the receipts are being dropped. Funny, I don't see any of the trolls. Okay, because I didn't even set the channel so they can't get in. Okay, where are y'all trolls? Y'all got nothing to say. Isn't that something? Now the truth comes out. Didn't I tell you all it would? This low down dirty dog. I want y'all to pay attention. He literally admits it. Okay? He literally admits it. But let's continue. Let me calm down, because when I tell you this is going to run my blood pressure all the way up. Okay, so anyway, says the incident that occurred between Mr. Anthony and the Metcalf twins and their teammates under the memorial tents on April the 2nd of 2025. Now, I bet you the MAGA minions will say, oh, well, he was just talking about them asking him to leave. That doesn't mean they jumped him. Yeah, it does mean that. That's exactly what it means. Get that F out of here, okay? Now, as every description by Mr. Worski described the agreement to allow for testimony about what happened under the tent, and Mr. Anthony was obviously a witness to what happened under the tent, by the plain meaning of the language Mr. Worski repeatedly used, the defense always understood the agreement to cover Mr. Anthony's potential testimony just as it would any other eyewitness to the incident under the tent on April the 2nd of 2025. Please pay attention. Following the plain meaning of Mr. Worski's words in describing the agreement, the defense understood the agreement to cover testimony by eyewitnesses such as the memorial students underneath the tent at the time of the incident, Hunter Metcalf, students outside the memorial tent who looked over and witnessed the incident, and Karmelo Anthony. Now, this understanding of the agreement was further confirmed by events that occurred after the motion in limine memorializing the agreement was drafted and tendered to the prosecution. So on May 29th of 2026, after a meeting with Judge Roach, the prosecution and the defense to discuss how trial security would be handled, the parties discussed the timing of the state's case in chief and when the defense's case in chief would start. Mr. Worski informed the court and defense that he estimated it would take 3 days for the state to present its case in chief, which would be ended sometime on Saturday, June 6th of 2026. In response, I voiced concern to the judge in front of the prosecution team that some of the witnesses the defense anticipated calling to testify were unavailable on Saturday, June the 6th. I explained that, like in any case, I would not know until the final moment whether we would call our client for sure, but that if the prosecution rested sometime Saturday and the judge forced us to call witnesses immediately on Saturday, I may not have enough witnesses available to fill up a full day of testimony Saturday. I explained that if this happened, it would force me to call my client out of order. Okay, the defense plan was to call all our fact witnesses first to establish certain facts and then conclude by calling our client to testify as our last witness. Now, on June 5th, Friday, June 5th of 2026, the second day of testimony during the state's case in chief, I checked in with Mr. Worski about how he was proceeding and whether he would end up taking more or less time to present his case in chief than he had initially estimated. Mr. Worski informed me that he was moving more quickly than he had initially estimated. So the prosecution was on track to rest its case in chief midday Saturday. Now, in this conversation with Mr. Worski, I again brought up the fact that several defense witnesses were unavailable on Saturday, and if the judge proceeded with his plan to force the defense to call witnesses immediately upon the prosecution resting in order to have a full day of testimony on Saturday, now we might be forced to call our client out of order. This time, I did not preface this statement with the perfunctory, like in any case, I won't know if I'm going to call my client at the last minute because I was not on the record and was speaking frankly with opposing counsel. I was very plain about the defense's intention to call Mr. Anthony to testify and how the judge's proposed schedule requirements were going to force us to call Mr. Anthony out of order. I don't independently recall what time on Friday, June 5th, this conversation with Mr. Worski occurred, but okay, I don't recall what time on Friday, June 5th, this conversation with Mr. Worski occurred, but it must have occurred just before noon because I then sent an email to Michael Mola describing the problem we were facing and asking Mr. Mola to draft a brief for us to argue to the judge that he couldn't force us to call our client out of order. Throughout the morning and early afternoon of Saturday, June 6th, Mr. Shook and I repeatedly checked in with Mr. Worski to get updated estimates and when he might rest his case in chief. Okay, each time referring to how the judge's plan was going to force us to call our client out of order. Besides the defense team repeatedly mentioning in front of Mr. Worski and the rest of the prosecution team that we intended to call our client to testify, even if it meant it would be out of order, Mr. Worski's own actions and arguments made it clear that he knew full well that we intended to call Mr. Anthony to testify. Even before both sides tendered their notices of the arguments in favor favor of the admissibility of character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to the other side's witnesses, Mr. Worski made references to understanding that the defense sought to introduce character and reputation evidence about Austin and Hunter Metcalf that was uncommunicated or unknown to Mr. Anthony via the ambiguous aggressor rule from Torres versus the state. Now, the ambiguous aggressor rule and the admissibility of uncommunicated character and reputation evidence of the decedent in a murder case are all part of a self-defense argument. Torres discusses in depth how the ambiguous aggressor rule allows the defense to put on uncommunicated character and reputation evidence before or after the defendant testifies. Mr. Worski repeatedly brought up Torres in discussions with the defense team in the months leading up to the trial, stating that while he thought the judge would rule correctly and not allow the evidence, he conceded that character evidence could be allowed. This repeated discussion of Torres and how it may apply to the trial showed that Mr. Worski was well aware of at least the possibility of Mr. Anthony testifying to order and argue self-defense. Now, this was the entire purpose of the agreement, in that it provided value to the prosecution, limiting the defense from presenting damaging character and reputation evidence against Austin and Hunter Metcalf and the defense. Now, from the defense's perspective, the entire agreement centered around the defendant testifying without impeachment by character, reputation, and extraneous evidence in exchange for the defense not seeking to introduce character, reputation, and extraneous evidence against the Metcalf twins. Furthermore, any competent criminal trial lawyer knows that for a self-defense argument to have any chance of succeeding, the defendant must testify. Y'all hear this? Any good criminal trial lawyer knows that for a self-defense argument and to have any chance of succeeding, the defendant must testify. Didn't I tell y'all that? Didn't I tell you all that in most every self-defense case that I have ever seen? Well, actually, in every one that I've seen, I told you all that the defendant always testifies. That's just the normal thing to do. Now, for all these reasons, the defense always understood the agreement to include Mr. Anthony's testimony, okay, free of impeachment by character, reputation, and extraneous. Hold on, you all. Okay. An extraneous offense, bad act evidence, just like every other witness either side could call to testify about what happened under the tent that day. Now, throughout the trial, the defense revised its trial strategy in reliance upon the agreement. Absent the agreement, the defense intended to cross-examine each memorial student witness the prosecution called about Austin and Hunter Metcalf's character and reputation for violence, for being bullies, and for racism. The defense also intended to cross-examine these witnesses about various statements they made to the police on April 2nd of 2025 regarding Austin and Hunter Metcalf's being easily triggered, having a loud mouth, being passionate, not allowing themselves to be disrespected. Okay, some specific examples include Austin, a really big guy. Austin's a really big guy, and he's kind of like the aggressive guy on the team. Austin got the same way that he got during the altercation, is the same way he got with some of us. And the mellow kid, something or whatever, and then Austin kind of got triggered. Austin and Hunter, they're not going to let you disrespect them. And Austin, he's like a big guy, so nobody really wants to fight him. And Austin's really a passionate guy. And Jose told police about Austin's history of fighting and almost getting kicked off the football team for fighting. I've known Austin for a while, and if Austin is about to get into a fight, you can tell. Austin can be a bit aggressive at times, and he has a bolder mouth sometimes. Y'all hear this? Now, this is where it really gets good. If the prosecution did not call any of these witnesses, the defense was ready to call them during the defense's case in chief and question them as hostile witnesses. Furthermore, the defense intended to call witnesses familiar with Austin and Hunter Metcalf's reputation for violence and bullying. The defense intended to call witnesses who themselves were victims of the Metcalf twins' violence and bullying. Now, the defense intended to question Memorial High School's teachers about the Metcalf twins' disciplinary history contained in their school records, which corroborated their character for violence and bullying. And finally, the defense intended to elicit testimony about the Metcalf twins' arrest for racist graffiti. Do y'all hear that? Their arrest, yeah, they got locked the hell up. Their arrest for racist graffiti. Do y'all hear that? Anini, beloved, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Lillian X said, you called it, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I sure did. This is a whole con game that they ran. In good faith, reliance upon the agreement, the defense did none of this. The defense even limited its questioning of witnesses about statements they had made about the Metcalf twins being triggered, having a loud mouth, being passionate, etc., that had been deemed to be allowed under the agreement in an abundance of caution to avoid opening the door. Furthermore, because the prosecution had made it clear, very clear, that the defense calling any psychology-related expert would open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Karmelo. The defense chose not to designate any experts and ultimately chose not to call as a witness a neuropsychologist to discuss how Mr. Anthony's epilepsy impacted his perception of threat and response, as that is relevant to self-defense. Didn't I tell you all this, Lord? When I tell y'all I am so mad right now. Now I want y'all to just think about something. Just think about something. Now what is he talking about? This man literally laid out all of the things that he knew that he should have done, just like I told you all. Okay, just like I told you all, everything that this man has said that he was going to do, that he should have done, that's exactly what I told you all he should have done. This is absolutely so crazy. Let me continue. Anyway, goes on to say, Mr. Anthony's epilepsy impacted his perception of threat and response, as that is relevant to self-defense, and a forensic psychologist to discuss both brain development of a 17-year-old as well as the fight or flight response as it applied to Mr. Anthony's actions. As a result of this revision in defense strategy, the defense did not go into these subjects during voir dire or opening statement. Without such an agreement, or if the defense had suspected that the state would violate the agreement, the defense would have explored these subjects during voir dire and would have introduced these topics during its opening statement. No, you wouldn't have. You knew what you were doing. Sit down somewhere. Now he wants to play the victim to act like Worski played him. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. This man doesn't want to lose his license. He doesn't want to get disbarred for ineffective assistance of counsel. He knows that he broke the law. Okay, that's what he did. Now he wants to sit here and act like Worski ran game on him. I don't care if Worski did run game on him, because what kind of stupid lawyer are you to agree to any of that bullshit? And he also knew and knows that at any time a prosecutor can absolutely backtrack on it. They can offer you a whole plea deal and you can say you accept it, and then they can walk that back. This is what they can do. But guess what? Like I told you all yesterday, when they do these sorts of things, you do have a remedy within the court system. Okay, you can file a promissory estoppel, like I told you all. Okay, that's what you can do. So he can sit down somewhere, because these excuses are not going to fly. Now, in sentencing, in reliance upon the agreement, the defense did not designate an expert who was ready to testify regarding mitigation, i.e., a risk assessment and psychological profile of Mr. Anthony. Furthermore, in reliance upon the agreement, the defense severely limited its available character witnesses to just 3 questions of Mr. Anthony's mother, which had been previously agreed upon by the prosecution. Why the hell did the prosecution get to decide and agree to any darn thing that Mrs. Anthony was going to say? Why is the prosecution even collabing with the defense to talk about who's going to say what and how you're going to ask your questions? This whole thing was rigged. That's why. But let me continue. You think this is regular everyday practice? It isn't. Now, other than general character testimony and pleas for mercy in reliance upon the agreement, the defense also did not go into substantial family violence Mr. Anthony had witnessed and been a victim of in his home. Who gives a damn? If Mr. Anthony Karmelo had been a victim of violence in his home, that's violence inflicted upon him or violence that he witnessed, not that he was involved in. So how is that going to make him look bad? Okay? And if it involved his parents and it was going to make them look bad, then so be it, because he still wouldn't have been in prison for 35 years. Now, on Saturday, June the 6th of 2026, after the prosecution rested its case in chief, the defense called witnesses Adam Linwood, Jeremiah Smith, and Jose Andres Ramos Mora before ending the day in the late afternoon, early evening. On Monday, June the 8th of 2026, the defense presumed its case in chief, calling Brendan Stevens and Brendan Lacey, Brendan Stevens and Brendan Lacey, the defense's next planned witness. There's something, looks like they left out, maybe it's a typo, I'm not sure, had been avoiding the defense's subpoena and kept changing the time he told us he would arrive to the courthouse. Accordingly, after Mr. Lacey's testimony, we took a break at 10:50 a.m. to see if blank had arrived. Here's the thing. My question is, how is the judge going to make them have court on Saturday when the defense can't even get their witnesses to come in and have them available on a Saturday? Okay, why in the hell is anybody having court on Saturday anyway? Okay, desperate to hurry up and get it over with. That's why, because they knew it was all rigged from the jump. Now, during the 10:50 a.m. break in the back hallway outside the judge's chambers, the judge asked us for an update about timing, how many more witnesses, etc. I explained that the next witness the defense had planned to call was a Centennial High School coach. Mr. Worski asked what the coach would testify to that did not pertain to Mr. Anthony's character. I explained that this coach had witnessed Mr. Anthony's seizures, so he would testify that about Mr. Anthony's epilepsy based on his personal knowledge. Mr. Worski then argued that testimony about epilepsy was irrelevant at guilt and innocence, and to the extent it was relevant would open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence against Mr. Anthony. In plain terms, it would breach the agreement. How is that going to breach the agreement? That doesn't have anything to do with his character or reputation. That is an element that he has that he cannot help. I stated that I disagreed, explaining how it was relevant to Mr. Anthony's state of mind pertaining to self-defense and that it did not relate to character or reputation or extraneous evidence in any way. But Judge Roach agreed with Mr. Worski that he thought testimony about epilepsy was not relevant during guilt or innocence and would open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence. Based on this, I informed the court that I would not call the coach and that I anticipated having one or two more witnesses before I would call Mr. Anthony. This is all some real BS. In response to the judge's question about likelihood of Mr. Anthony testifying, I told the judge that he would need to confer with Mr. Anthony about his Fifth Amendment decision regarding testifying, but that I was 99% sure that he would, in fact, testify. After the break, back in court before the jury to give, and this is another typo, to give somebody more time to arrive at court, we then called Frisco Police, or maybe they're leaving that name out because maybe the person's a minor. I'm not sure, okay, because they do, it's blank every time that person's name comes up. Anyway, after Detective Riley finished testifying, I then decided not to call blank as a witness, and we broke for lunch early around 11:17 a.m., and the prosecution and defense teams stayed behind to talk to the judge outside the jury's presence. Now, on the way back to chambers, Mr. Worski mentioned to Mr. Shook that from his perspective, I had already opened the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Mr. Anthony by saying that Mr. Anthony was a member of the chess club during my opening statement. I did not say anything about a chess club at any time during my opening. I said that Mr. Anthony played chess during my background description of him and his hobbies. Mr. Worski also stated from his perspective, the agreement did not cover a testifying defendant. Mr. Shook alerted me, and Mr. Worski, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Shook, and I stood in the well of the courtroom, and Mr. Worski repeated these statements, adding that the prosecution never thought the defense would call Mr. Anthony to testify. Back in the judge's chambers, Mr. Worski repeated his assertion that the agreement between the prosecution and defense never contemplated a testifying defendant. He elaborated, stating that he had never thought we were calling Mr. Anthony as a witness. He also repeated his claim that I had already violated the agreement during my opening statement by saying that Mr. Anthony was a member of the chess club. It is important to note that this was the first time Mr. Worski mentioned that he believed I had violated the agreement days earlier by mentioning that Mr. Anthony played chess during my opening statement. Although the prosecution and defense teams had conferred many times throughout the prosecution's case in chief about various issues, this was the first time Mr. Worski brought up this assertion. Judge Roach told both the prosecution and defense teams that my mentioning chess during the opening statement definitely did not open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence applicable to Mr. Anthony. The parties argued about whether the agreement between the parties covered Mr. Anthony's testifying. The prosecution repeated their position that it did not, and that if we called Mr. Anthony to testify, character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Mr. Anthony were in play. Furthermore, Mr. Worski stated at that time that the prosecution already having rested character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Austin and Hunter Metcalf was not relevant. Now, when Mr. Shook and I mentioned the ambiguous aggressor rule from Torres, Mr. Worski argued that Torres did not apply because it was not ambiguous who the first aggressor was, that the first aggressor was clearly Austin Metcalf. Do y'all hear that? They admit, the prosecutor admitted that Austin was the aggressor. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? The prosecutor admitted that Austin Metcalf was clearly, that's what it says, who the first aggressor was, that the first aggressor was clearly Austin Metcalf, that it wasn't even ambiguous. It was clearly him. Where y'all at, MAGA minions? At this point, the discussion devolved into a shouting match. Honey, this is all crazy. Now, after the breakdown of the agreement, the defense and prosecution teams agreed to take 10 minutes to cool off before attempting to renegotiate parameters for how the agreement could extend to Mr. Anthony's testimony should the defense now choose to call him. After the 10-minute cooling off period, Mr. Worski and I met in an open court outside the presence of the jury without the public in the courtroom, or without the public in the room, to discuss possible parameters for the agreement covering Mr. Anthony's testimony. Now, given Mr. Worski's expansive view of what he considered would open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Mr. Anthony, especially his repeated claim, even after the judge stated otherwise, that even my mention of playing chess opened the door to character, I resolved that my only choice was to go over my planned outline of Mr. Anthony's direct examination line by line with Mr. Worski to determine what would and would not, in Mr. Worski's view, open the door. I have never taken such a drastic step of previewing my strategy and even my questions with a prosecutor. But as a defense team, we agreed that we had no other option if we wanted to try to reach an agreed understanding with Mr. Worski of how the renegotiated agreement would cover Mr. Anthony's testimony. My question is, why did you make an agreement in the first place? My question is, why would you make an agreement in the first place? Now, here's the thing. He wants to make it seem as though he was trying to protect Karmelo by not bringing up any reputational things, and character evidence. But as I told you all, there was nothing so bad or devastating in Karmelo's background. In fact, everything was more beneficial, and it should have been brought into the courtroom. It should have been spoken about. There should have been character witnesses. You see, even if something bad did happen, like I told you all, the risk was not worth the reward. Okay? Because look at it. Now they've rewarded Karmelo with 35 years. Okay? He took a risk by doing all of this. And why did he do it? Like I said, I don't think Worski played him. Maybe he did play him to an extent, but the bottom line, it's still his fault, because why did you ever make this asinine agreement in the first place? As a very astute and a very good criminal defense attorney, you should have known better. And quite frankly, I know you did. Now, as I went through my outline with Mr. Worski standing, reading the outline over my shoulder, Mr. Worski declared various subjects that, in his view, would open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence pertaining to Mr. Anthony. Now, during this discussion, Mr. Worski repeated his claim that my earlier mention of chess opened the door. While I disagreed with all of Mr. Worski's assertions of subjects that would open the door, I agreed to cut them from my questioning in the hopes of salvaging the agreement to keep Mr. Anthony's extraneous offenses out if he testified. What extraneous offenses? I want you all to pay attention here. What type of extraneous offenses is he even talking about? Okay, there is nothing that he could have said about Karmelo Anthony, or that anyone could have said about Karmelo, that would be worse than what he's doing right now, sitting in prison. Okay, please miss me with all of it. It's a whole load of BS. Anyway, let me continue. So then goes on to say, hold on, where was I? Now, at the end of this discussion, to keep Mr. Anthony's extraneous offenses, I'm sorry. At the end of this discussion, with the understanding that Mr. Worski would extend me leeway to lead Mr. Anthony more than normal through certain aspects of the testimony, in an abundance of caution to avoid opening the door, Mr. Worski and I informed Judge Roach that we had come to an agreement as to how the renegotiated agreement would cover Mr. Anthony's testimony. We then summarized the process we had just gone through in our renegotiated agreement on the record. Prior to breaking to allow the defense to retire to the defense room to discuss the issue with Mr. Anthony and his parents, Judge Roach informed us that he was aware of no mechanism at his disposal to enforce the agreement between the parties. Furthermore, Judge Roach informed us that he saw no way for Mr. Anthony to testify without the door being open. For example, if he said that he brought the knife by accident or said he was scared, etc., that would almost certainly open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence of some sort. Are y'all listening? Why, first of all, why is the judge even included in this discussion? Okay? Why is the judge even involved in this negotiation process? Why is there even a negotiation process? Why didn't these two devils just get together, go through the period of discovery, get their strategies together, and go from there? All right, because they were railroading this young man. That's why. I'm so glad you asked. Now, let me continue. This is all so crazy. So anyway, goes on to say, for example, if he said he brought the knife by accident or said that he was scared, etc., that would almost certainly open the door to character, reputation, and extraneous evidence of some sort. To clarify the issue, I proposed the hypothetical scenario that if Mr. Worski claimed that the agreement had been breached in some way, if I and even the judge felt that Mr. Worski was operating in bad faith, then the judge was stating that he could not enforce the agreement. Would have to make a ruling based on Texas rule of evidence alone, and that in all likelihood the door would have been opened. Judge Roach confirmed that this was the case. We then broke to discuss the issue with our client. Judge Roach gave us approximately 10 minutes to explain the breakdown of the agreement and the proposed resolution with our client before the judge brought Mr. Anthony in for a non-record admonishment. Now, during the initial pre-admonishment meeting for Mr. Anthony and his parents, I did my best to explain everything that had just happened with the help of Mr. Shook and Ms. Gupta. We then returned to the courtroom for Judge Roach to admonish Mr. Anthony about his Fifth Amendment rights, and to also explain that if he testifies, Judge Roach believed he had no mechanism to enforce the agreement between the parties and would rule on the rules of evidence alone as to whether the door had been opened. Judge Roach then gave us 10 minutes to discuss the Fifth Amendment rights with Mr. Anthony and help him ultimately decide whether he would testify. I asked for additional time to have such a complicated discussion with a 19-year-old in the most stressful situation of his life, but Judge Roach declined to extend our time beyond 10 minutes. That's because he knew what he was doing. This is just, Anyway, again, we did our best to explain everything, the pros and cons of testifying versus not testifying, the likelihood of winning on self-defense if he testified versus if he did not, the likelihood of whether we would get instructions in the jury charge or on the lesser included charges of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide if he did. And if he did not testify, the likelihood of whether we could get instructions in the sentencing jury charge if we got there, or a sudden passion if he did and if he did not testify. I'm sure Karmelo was so confused. I'm sure he was so confused. Being able, trying to get this young man who's 19 years old, is not from the streets, doesn't know anything about the criminal justice system and how these things work, trying to get him to absorb all of this information, this very important information, within 10 minutes is really crazy. Okay, it's really crazy. Please make it all make sense. Now, with that all being said, during this discussion, beyond all of the above, the most complicating factor of all was whether Mr. Worski would claim that we had opened the door and then bring in Mr. Anthony's extraneous offenses, bad acts, character, and reputation based on his actions and claims, specifically his repeated assertions, even after the judge had firmly disagreed that I had opened the door by even mentioning chess as well, his general claim that the agreement had never been contemplated. Okay, Mr. Anthony had never contemplated Mr. Anthony testifying, despite the plain meaning of the words Mr. Worski himself repeatedly used to describe the agreement. Now, the defense team felt strongly that the risk of Mr. Worski claiming the door had been opened was too high. This was amplified by the fact that Judge Roach made it clear that should Mr. Worski claim a breach of the agreement, he felt he was unable to enforce it, and that in all likelihood the door would have been opened. At the end of 10 minutes, despite our request for additional time, Judge Roach called us back to the courtroom to announce Mr. Anthony's decision and proceed with the trial. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Now, ultimately, Mr. Anthony chose not to testify. Because I'm quite sure after they told him all the stuff they told him, he was probably scared too. Now, and let's not forget, his lawyer told him it wasn't a good idea. Okay, let's just not forget that. That has been put out there. Okay, please pay attention. Now, this 180-degree change in the defense strategy was the direct consequence of the breach of the agreement. You mean the agreement that you should never have made, Mike Howard, you idiots? Okay, the breach of the agreement affected all aspects of the defense case. By the time that the agreement was breached, it was too late to change our approach in voir dire and opening, too late to ask different questions of the prosecution's witnesses, and too risky to recall those witnesses. Please miss me with it, because here's the thing. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Let me just tell y'all something real quick. Okay, let me just tell you all how you know that he's full of BS. Okay, he's full of BS. And here's why. Because for number one, he had no business making that dumb ass deal in the first place. Let me not curse, but he had no business making that deal in the first place. It was absolutely not necessary. He's acting as though there was something so significant. He was acting as though there was something so significant in Karmelo Anthony's past reputation or character, okay, or whatever type of extraneous evidence, that if it were brought out, it could make him, be found guilty. Like it was just something so detrimental that he just had no other choice than to make this asinine agreement. But that's not the case. Okay, that absolutely is not the case. So he made the agreement because that's what he chose to do. Now, if they played him, that still falls on him for not doing his due diligence in the first place. Okay, he knew what they were trying to do. He's not stupid. Okay, he knew what they were trying to do, and he was fine with it as far as I'm concerned. So he can miss me with it. And here's another thing. If this was going on and he was so blindsided and didn't have any idea they were going to do this to him and his client, why didn't he file a motion for a mistrial? Huh? I say, what? Yeah, Mike Howard, why didn't you file a motion for a mistrial? Why didn't you do that? Okay, why didn't you do that? Because you were in on it, you low down dirty snake. Okay, that's why you didn't file a motion for a mistrial, because you know he could have done that, right? He could have also filed the promissory estoppel, just like I told you all. There was things he could have done. Okay, he's full of crap. And also the fact that the judge said that it did not open the door. How is he going to then sit there and say that he was so concerned about what Worski was going to do, because Worski kept saying that he had already opened the door? Who's in charge of the courtroom, the prosecutor or the judge? Okay. That's right, Sierra. He didn't even try. Honey, with lawyers like this, you may as well go in there and defend your own darn self. Okay? Please pay attention. Anyway, with that all being said, to ask questions that would risk the prosecution deciding we had opened the door, it greatly hampered our strategy during sentencing, causing us to decide not to call witnesses we otherwise would have called and severely limiting the questions asked of one witness we did in fact call. The prosecution's breach of the agreement directly and significantly undermined the defense's ability to present a complete defense. Yeah, I don't believe you. I absolutely don't believe you, Mike Howard. You see, I believe that these things happened, but I believe that you were absolutely complicit in all of it. And now I think that the only reason you're coming out with this affidavit, making all of these allegations, is because you don't want to be disbarred. It's because you don't want them to file for ineffective assistance of counsel. I think that's exactly what it is, Mr. Mike Howard. I think you're full of the biggest pile of shite. Okay? That's what I think. Period. Isn't that something else? Now, he sat here and just admitted to everything that we said. He has literally confessed to everything that the Queen said all along. Okay, that's what he did. I told you all of this stuff. I'm talking about literally word for word. This is all what I've been telling you all. Okay, isn't that crazy? And you see how important the whole thing about the epilepsy was and how they didn't say anything about that? Isn't that something? I find it also interesting. These low down dirty devils, when I tell you they work together in unison and concert, okay, collectively to bring people who look like me down. Whew, hold on. I'm going to play that video that I did one more time. I'm going to play this video one more time because this is all so crazy. Because I want y'all to pay attention. Alejandro said, it still makes me cry. Honey, I want to cry right now. Okay? I want to cry right now. That's how angry I am that we're in here sitting in 2026 and this feels like To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay? It feels like I'm watching To Kill a Mockingbird. I am so serious. It is really sad. This is what the devils do. This is what they do. And like I told you all yesterday, and I still believe, I really believe they have been doing this for decades. Okay? I think they have been doing this. Okay? Please pay attention. Now let's go to this video, this TikTok that I did weeks ago about the epilepsy. Now some of y'all already heard this, but we're going to hear it again because I want y'all to pay attention.
So during the Karmelo Anthony trial, the judge would not allow in the fact that Karmelo had epilepsy. I guess he didn't think it was relevant. Let's get into it. It was interesting to me that the judge didn't think it was relevant, but it absolutely is. If there's a serious health issue, that is absolutely relevant and should be used for evidence in a self-defense case. And this is usually what would have been done had the court not been biased. Now, that's just my opinion. So it must legally be relevant and verified by medical documentation to establish why you reasonably fear for your life or felt you were unable to retreat safely. The court determines the admissibility of this evidence based on the following factors. The first is the subjective standard. Self-defense first requires proof that you genuinely believe you were in imminent danger. A physical disability, a severe illness, or compromised state, these are all things that can explain why the person they would feel that there was a perceived threat and that it was deadly, or that they did not feel they could safely escape. The next is the objective standard. The actions must also be what a reasonable person would do in the same condition. Now, if the health issue made the person more vulnerable, then the attorney could use this so that the jury would evaluate the proportionality of the defense force that the person used with their physical limitations in mind. Next is documentary and expert evidence. Now, health issues cannot just be claimed, they must be proven. You must have them authenticated by a hospital or physician records and potentially expert witness testimony as well to establish the severity of the medical condition and its direct impact on the person's perception of the threat. Now, mind you, at the end of the day, there was no expert witnesses. And that is all because Mike Howard was throwing the case, in my opinion. And the next is prior aggressor context. You see, on the flip side, the prosecution may attempt to introduce the victim's condition if they felt that those conditions contributed to a pattern of violent behavior or escalated the confrontation. Okay, please pay attention. Now, of course, the judge wouldn't allow that to be entered in, but you see, the defense should have challenged that. The defense should almost always formally challenge a judge's ruling that evidence is irrelevant to preserve the defendant's constitutional right to a fair trial, as well as to protect their options for a future appeal. You see, Mike Howard didn't raise any objections, okay? In a case of red rum, the attorney is always supposed to raise objections. Now, the only thing that he objected to was the Batson challenge, where they didn't have any witnesses, or when they struck the last three witnesses who looked like me. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, I feel that Mike Howard did that on purpose because he not only wanted to throw the trial, but I believe that he also wanted to make it so that there would not be good grounds for an appeal. So the defense must object on the record immediately after the ruling. If they do not object during the trial, higher courts will usually refuse to review the issue on appeal. Okay, now, state constitutional grounds. Lawyers will argue that excluding the evidence violates the defendant's Sixth Amendment right to present a complete defense. Now, let me tell you why Karmelo Anthony likely feared for his life because of his epilepsy. Because you see, number one, stress and trauma. This can be a direct cause for seizure triggers. Okay, neurological vulnerability. The intense physical and emotional stress of an assault triggers adrenaline, hyperventilation, and extreme chemical spikes in the brain. Now, for someone with epilepsy, stress is the most common trigger for a breakthrough seizure. Please pay attention. And then there's the fact of the danger of helplessness. Now, if an altercation induces a seizure, the defendant instantly loses consciousness or motor control. Now, this leaves them entirely defenseless at the complete mercy of an aggressive attacker. Fear of being rendered unconscious and vulnerable while being assaulted is entirely reasonable. You see, because with epilepsy, violent altercations increase heart rates and disrupt breathing. If a seizure is triggered under these conditions, it significantly elevates the risk of fatal cardiac arrhythmias or severe respiratory failure. Now, a defendant aware of this reality has a justifiable fear that a physical fight could be fatal. Please pay attention. Now, there's also the compounded trauma. You see, falling to the ground during a typical convulsive seizure already carries a high risk of head injury. Now, they talk about the second hit scenario, okay? And mind you, this was more than a push. But if we want to say that there was only a push, by the fact that there was multiple people surrounding Karmelo, that would definitely have been enough for him to fear for his safety. You see, if an attacker strikes a defendant and triggers a seizure, the subsequent uncontrolled fall onto a hard surface can cause catastrophic skull fractures or even brain hemorrhages. A physical blow that might only cause a bruise on a healthy person could cause permanent neurological damage or even death on an epileptic individual. Please pay attention. So for those that want to say that you don't get to poke someone for a push, it was a lot more than a push from the footage that we saw. But even if it was a push, you don't put your hands on someone else. And if you do, and there's a group of people with you, that person likely would feel that there's going to be more than a push coming next, and that the people with you are likely going to help, which falls under the Texas doctrine of multiple assailants. And under that, if you feel that multiple people are going to attack you and one of them has already put hands on you, you absolutely have a right to defend yourself, even with deadly force. Okay, please pay attention. I'm sorry, when I was talking about the Batson challenge, I said that they struck the three witnesses who look like me, but I meant the jurors, the prospective jurors who look like me. Now, the fact that Mike Howard did not challenge the judge on entering in as evidence the fact that Karmelo had a serious health issue that could have caused him to definitely fear for his life and safety, that is all going to go along in the appeals process under inadequate counsel, okay? Because it's obvious he didn't do his job. All right, so he's definitely going to get that appeal, and I do believe that the case will absolutely be overturned, or at the very least, he'll get a new trial. And whether you think that Karmelo Anthony is guilty or not, I believe that he's innocent and that it was not red rum and that it absolutely was self-defense. But even if you think that he's guilty, that doesn't really matter what you think. You see, because the trial was absolutely unfair. There's mountains of evidence to show this. And guilty people have absolutely walked free simply because of an unfair trial. Okay, please pay attention. But Karmelo was acting in self-defense, so he wasn't guilty. And even if you don't believe that Karmelo was jumped and you think it was just Austin that put hands on him, well, he still had a reasonable right to fear for his safety, given his condition, okay? Because Austin was at least 80 pounds larger than him. And once again, in the eyes of the law, guilt or innocence is entirely secondary to the fairness of the trial itself. You see, legal systems, including the United States framework that's outlined in the constitutional rights of the accused, they happen to prioritize due process above all else. Okay, so please pay attention.
I want y'all to pay attention to that, because here's the thing. Now that all of this information has been exposed, guess what? When Karmelo gets a new trial, there's no way that they're going to lose. You see, they've admitted to all of the malfeasance. Mike Howard has it all in his affidavit. He literally just admitted to everything, that the prosecutor himself said that Austin was the initial aggressor, that they had a history of violence, even been arrested, and that they were in fact racist. Just like I said all along. I want y'all to pay attention, honey. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. They should just overturn the whole case. Shouldn't even be a retrial. Okay, the case just needs to be overturned, quite frankly. But even with the retrial, yeah, this is not looking good for them. And I know the Devils are so mad. This is why the Devils are so mad. Okay, now they can't say a damn thing. You don't see any trolls in the chat. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? You don't see any trolls in the chat? Okay, where y'all at, trolls? Y'all got nothing to say. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? But hold on, wait, because there's more. Now we're going to go over, and this is only about 3 or 4 pages, but we're going to go over this affidavit from this woman, declaration of Bridget Smith, member of the public excluded from the trial. See, this is the kind of shady stuff that we're doing. They were trying to keep certain people out of there, okay, because they obviously didn't like how some of them were reporting, okay? They only wanted to allow in the media, and that's the media that they chose to let in, okay? That's what they wanted to do. Red Wine said they magically disappeared, okay? I mean, they definitely did. Don't y'all find it interesting? Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share, beloveds. Okay, here we go. So, before me, the undersigned notary public, on this day personally appeared Bridget Smith, who being by me duly sworn, deposed, and stated as follows. My name is Bridget Smith. I am over the age of 18 and of sound mind and fully competent to make this affidavit. I have personal knowledge of facts stated below, each of which is true and correct. I am a member of the public and I have no role in the case. I sought to observe the trial proceedings in this matter, which were of substantial public interest. The statements below are based on my own observations on emails I sent and received during my efforts to attend the proceedings. Now, Nick at Night also, emails that she wrote is supposed to be included in this also, because she did a broadcast about it. She had been in touch with Karmelo's attorneys and she sent them some information. Okay, so now I went to the Collin County Courthouse to observe the proceedings on June 1st, June 4th, June 5th, and June 6th of 2026. And so on June 1st of 2026, I attended the jury questionnaire session. I understood the questionnaires would be completed that day and that jury selection would begin later that week. When I arrived, I asked the court coordinator where members of the public would be permitted to observe and whether any accommodation would be available, given the significant public interest in the case. Officers led us to a room to sit, and it was my understanding and everyone else's that we would be able to view the jury selection from there. We sat in the room for about an hour and began to ask questions, and someone came in and told us that the jury selection was being held upstairs while we were all downstairs. We got up to see for ourselves and found a room full of people down the hallway. Out of what appeared to be roughly 600 people, we saw only a handful of Black people. One of the officers from the room where we had been seated came and told us we could not be down there and that we needed to go back because they did not want us to taint the jury pool. I responded that if that was the concern, I did not understand why White Lives Matter had been allowed to pass out propaganda about the case to people going in. Are y'all listening? White Lives Matter is outside passing out propaganda, okay? Propaganda material. Clearly, that's going to taint the jury, but let's continue. Okay, so they were passing out propaganda about the case to people going in. A paper using the word Austin's murder. Okay, so already putting that in their subconscious mind, not self-defense, but murder. Okay, which I was concerned would already taint the pool. We were sent back to the room where we were not permitted to even view the jury selection. Okay, or the proceedings on a television. And we were told we would not be seeing anything. In effect, we would be sitting in the room the entire day for no reason, and no one was going to notify the people sitting there. We let the others know, and most people left, deciding to return on Wednesday or Thursday. I understood that the court's order set a specific time for the admission of the general public. Now, we were told we had a time to get into the room and that we could not bring phones in, and people were even moved around in seating, only for us to learn on our own that they were going to allow us to sit there all day, okay, and view nothing. Now, the courthouse was closed on June 2nd of 2026. Jury selection began on June 3rd of 2026. On June 3rd, I decided not to attend jury selection, but to attend on the first day of opening argument, which was Thursday. On June 4th of 2026, the first day of testimony, the court eliminated the additional viewing location. From that point forward, public access was limited to approximately 27 seats inside the courtroom. No overflow room, alternative viewing area, audio feed, video feed, or other accommodation was provided. When we arrived, there was a very long line of people in two lines, one of the people on the media list and the other for everyone else. Now, when they cut it off at 27 people, we asked whether there was an overflow room, and we were told no. People seating inside the courtroom was limited to approximately 27. Public seating inside the courtroom was limited to approximately 27 seats. Although the court's order stated a time for public admission, in practice, admission was determined by how early a person arrived. Okay, and that person's placed in an informal line, not by the time stated in the order. Now, members of the public began arriving as early as 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. To compete for the few available seats. And those who arrived after the line had formed often had little or no realistic opportunity to be admitted. Let me tell you all something. Honey, if I had gone down there, and I wish I had, but if I had gone down there, I would have been at that courthouse at 2 o'clock in the morning, honey, because that's what I did at Diddy's trial some days. I got there at 1 or 2 in the morning. I sure did. But anyway, I was determined to get in. By any means necessary. Now, with that being said, they had to compete for the few available seats, and those who arrived after the line had formed had little or no realistic opportunity to be admitted. Now, on June 4th of 2026, I was unable to gain entry to the courtroom and was excluded from that day's proceedings. I stayed in the parking lot with others who had been turned away. Now, some people left. Some had driven in from other states and decided they would not have an opportunity to observe and made plans to travel back home. That's a darn shame. Some people drove all the way from out of town and couldn't even get in and had to turn around and go home. Now, on June 5th of 2026, I again attempted to attend and was again unable to gain entry because of the limited seating and admission process. We learned that when people took breaks, they were told someone else could take their spots. So we went up to try to obtain a spot, but only about 6 or 7 seats were available for passes. As a result, some of those who had been waiting were able to get in, while some of the people who had left on their breaks were not able to regain access. Now, on June 6th of 2026, I did not make it to the courthouse, and other people who had come with us decided to go and keep us updated. During the times I was present in and around the courthouse, I did not observe any disturbance, security incident, or disruptive conduct by members of the public that would explain or justify excluding the public from the courtroom. Yet I watched court personnel remove people to whom they had given passes over small petty matters. Now, one of the male reporters from South Carolina, who had been present from the beginning, was made to leave as another woman who had been inside. As was another woman who had been inside. Now, in my observation, neither of them did anything to warrant removal. And I believe the reporter's rights were violated because they attempted to tell him what he could and could not say. And when he tried to assert his rights in a public courthouse, they told him to leave. Y'all hear this? Now, on June 4th and June 5th, the morning of June 6th of 2026, I and other members of the public were unable to observe the proceedings. The seats available to the public were few. The additional viewing location used during jury selection was discontinued once testimony began, and my ability to observe the proceedings was significantly curtailed as a result of the limited seating, the elimination of the overflow room, and the manner in which access was administered. Signed, Brenda Smith. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? These people are low down, honey. When I tell you, after this, I need to just go lay down somewhere, honey. I need to go touch some grass. How about y'all? I just feel like I need to go get grounded, honey. I need to go hug a tree or something. This is so low vibrational. I really can barely take it. I am so serious. Y'all think I'm joking? I'm not. Okay, let's go to this video. I am literally sick to my stomach. Seriously.
There's Facebook page, pictures of them all together at a social gathering, drinking together. That is a highly problematic event, series of events. I don't know how many times they were, but it is a major, major problem because it casts a pall over all evidentiary rulings. And when you're in an appellate case, you're trying the appellate judge or the trial judge. And the trial judge made an atrocious error by even being the judge in this case and letting the prosecutor try this case. There are all kinds of problems with it. It casts everything is in doubt as a result of that, down to the rulings, the jury instructions. Cases have been many cases. It was on the father's face.
And I want you all to pay attention too. Don't forget, okay, that we found out weeks ago what watermelon felon means. Somebody who was framed for something they didn't do, and then the whole town turns on them. That's why Jeff Metcalf called Karmelo that, okay? Not just because it was a stereotypical term like we initially thought, but now that we know that that's what it was used for in that cartoon Kirby, so he really told on himself, okay? He really told on himself. All clancestors bullies, exactly. This is all egregious. This is all so egregious. That all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, I'm going to go to a few videos that I want you all to see. 3 of them are about Karmelo, but some of them are just random videos that I wanted you all to see. Please pay attention.
This has came out against him that basically say that he knew Austin Metcalf family and they've been friends for a long time. Also, I'm hearing that he was basically interfering with the case and basically was holding information back in his chambers. Now, all that is allegedly. Also, this boy deserves a fair trial, point blank period. We won't see evidence. At the end of the day, Carmelo Anthony's first lawyers, they did not do anything. They did not call witnesses like they should have, and the family was basically blindsided by this. At the end of the day, his new appeal team is putting their foot down and basically demanding justice. Now, we know this is Texas. We know how racist Texas is, so we don't know how this is going to go. But at the end of the day, Karmelo Anthony deserves due process, like I said in my last video, and he should get his case to be heard in front of everybody. And hopefully they have a fair jury, because the jury, nobody was black on that. It was a bunch of white people. So we know what that means.
And this one right here, more than likely is going to be turned over due to a technicality, if not this jury situation. Man, when you get I told y'all, research who the fuck Russell Wilson is. Once you look at his background, you'll see a lawyer of his caliber does not take cases on pro bono unless he know, oh yeah, I'm finna go in here and do this shit because I'm tired of y'all motherfucking asses. Because you take one of us and you put us over your little program, but then you hit us with some shit that make us think, motherfucker, that could have been my goddamn child. Y'all did that whole shit too. What y'all would have been all right if he had turned out like Nolan Wales? Huh? See, yeah, don't nobody want to talk about Karmelo Anthony supposed to be Nolan Wales. Then white folks would have been okay. Nah, motherfucker, it ain't going down like this time. Karmelo going home free. Russell Wilson going free him. This is just one of the little things the black jurors, that's just one little small thing. It's so many other things can have this case overturned. And Russell Wilson going to do it. And he's doing it for free.
Okay, please pay attention, honey. Truth Brown says, Queen, can't they just remove the judge after all this? Well, they should remove him. Huh, they should, but who knows what they'll do in that good old boys club that he belongs to, honey. They've been doing this stuff for decades, I'm so sure. Okay, and he has refused to recuse himself, by the way. Did I tell y'all that? Did I even tell you all that? Yeah, he refuses to recuse himself. Hold on, let me pull that up while you all watch these videos.
Yeah, can we say we told y'all? We told y'all. And honestly, black people, we already knew what was going on. But a few things. Let's take race out the subject, right? Let's take the fact that there was an all-white, Asian, and white jury, right? Let's take out anybody already knowing each other from the trial prior, right? Let's take all that weird stuff out. We told y'all they railroaded a young black man into a longer prison sentence. Now, even if he was guilty of anything, of receiving less, they should throw out the entire trial, right? Because after going through all 63 documents and almost 200 pages, you would then see that this trial was just a railroad attempt. Now, his parents stated how they trusted the lawyer, which honestly, none of us are surprised. But his lawyer railroaded him into signing a bunch of BS, into entrapping him into this prison sentence on top of all of that. They made it so they could not bring up any of Austin Metcalf's racist past, which we all knew already, which explained where his racist behavior came from his dad. It didn't come out of thin air because they had a history of racist behavior already within their school. He had a history of aggressive behavior and bullying already in the school, but all of this was not able to be brought up in the trial. They were not able to bring up any experts to speak. He did not testify, and he was not able to speak on his mental state. Now, before, yeah, maybe receive a lesser sentence now, because of this bias, yeah, it should be thrown out. Now, it does not matter whether a kid lost his life. This would have went from a murder trial to a trial about racism, which we already told you. And great job to his lawyers, but like, comment, repost, what's your thoughts about this?
So I was today years old when I learned that the Proud Boys do not like the white nationalist group Patriot Front. Watch this.
Back up! Back up! Get out of here! Get the fuck out! Go!
Y'all see that? I love it. Look at the devil.
Get the fuck out! Be gone, bitch!
MAGA on MAGA crime. Don't y'all love to see it? I sure do.
Be gone!
Thugs. Nothing but ghetto flag thugs. Okay? And have y'all seen what these teenagers have been doing? These teenagers who look like them going around causing all kind of havoc, wreaking all sorts of havoc. Have y'all seen the videos? I mean, I can't even show you the videos because of all the violence. Okay? They're acting being so ghetto. What is wrong with these white folk? They have white on white crime at an all new high. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, 57 beige fox, give me some popcorn too, honey, because I could use some. All right, this is all crazy. Del Monte Green Beans, beloved, thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Go! Go! Get the fuck out of here, dude. We're not here. Fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Go! Go! Bitches! Go! Go, bitches! Go, bitches! He didn't talk. I'm gonna fucking time. Calling everybody.
Just ghetto, honey. Let me continue. How long is this darn video? Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. ICE is up to the same old BS again. Listen to this.
Is back at it again, guys. They right back at it again. This time it's not Minneapolis, Minnesota. This time it is in Houston, Texas, guys, where it's been reported an ICE agent unalived a man right in.
Said it's brown on brown crime. They full of ish. That wasn't brown on brown crime, honey. Those is white folk. Okay, we know that Enrique Ontario was the leader of the Proud Boys. I don't think he is anymore. And he was Afro-Cuban, but yeah, that wasn't him out there. That was his minions.
In front of his own child. They say that the guy was in the process of getting his documents straightened out. You know, ICE agents also said that the guy weaponized his vehicle. Basically, when they say weaponize the vehicle, ICE agents are saying that the man used his vehicle as a weapon. Now, I'm not trying to be the smartest person in the world, but don't this story sound so familiar, guys?
Yeah, because that's what the cops always say when they murk somebody, okay? You're in a car. They'll always say you tried to run them over, okay? D Major, thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, Del Monte Green Bean says, sounded like a corny and clumsy contest. Okay, clearly, okay? Thank you for that, beloved, and for your contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Don't this story sound familiar? Remember the guy, Alex Pretty? Remember the lady, Nicole Good in Minneapolis, Minnesota? This is really starting to have a whole similar ring to it. It's like, when is this going to stop, man? So when an ICE agent pulls you over now, they could basically pew you and justify it by saying that you weaponized your vehicle. Now, I wasn't there. There's been no footage released because this just happened. It's fresh. It's just happened. So there could be footage coming out that's showing that maybe the guy did use his vehicle to weaponize against the ICE agents. We don't know until the footage come out, so I don't want to jump to conclusions. But what I am jumping to saying right now, man, is that this has a dang on eerie similarity to the Alex Pretty and the Nicole Good, and I can't remember the other guy's name, and I'm sorry for that. But it's like now in Houston, Texas, man, this is really sad, man. I couldn't imagine what the son is going through to see his dad unalive by people that's supposed to be protecting us, man. Listen, man, that is different, man, when it happens in front of your own child, bro.
Okay, D Major says, oh, I said brown because that's the color of shite. Okay. Okay, now that's funny. All right, thank you for that, beloved, and thank you for your contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, I want you all to pay attention to what this man right here says and don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, but here's the thing. So about a week or so ago, or a few days ago, there were two kids. I think I showed you all that video. I really think I showed it to you all. There was a black teen and a white teen, and they were, I think the other one was white, but anyway, they were trying to go door to door to do some work, trying to make money. Okay, and this racist MAGA minion type devil was just giving them a hard time and even had a gun. Okay, and so here's what he says about it. What happened? And the reason I wasn't sure if one was black and the other one was white is because they didn't show their faces. They were recording him. So we saw the person that they were speaking to, the person who was harassing them, but we didn't really see them. We just heard their voices.
Hey, so last week, Tizzy ENT posted this video of this old man running up on these two young men that are going door to door to get business for their mobile car detailing company, and he pulls a gun out on them and is being a total douchebag. Anyways, fuck that guy. I realize that's right by my house. So let's hire those dudes today and see if we can't get them some more business in Pinellas County. All right, meet Santi and Alicos. They're 18 and 19 from St. Pete and Clearwater. They've had this business for a month. That was actually their first time going door to door, and they got a dang gun pulled on them. But they pull up to the crib, detail the cars. They service Pinellas County, Hillsborough, Spring Hill, Bradenton. Their company's called Two Clean Whips. I'm going to tag it below. Hit them up. Let's get them some business. They pull up to the crib and make your cars look brand new. All right, dudes absolutely killed it. Cleanest my truck has looked in forever. I respect the hell out of young dudes that are business-minded entrepreneurs. They did a great job. The car actually looks awesome. DM them, Two Clean Whips. I'm going to tag them below. Let's get these dudes some business. They deserve it.
Okay, shout out to him for that. I love to see it. And here's the thing. Speaking of that, young people trying to do good and stay out of the streets, I want y'all to listen to this. So just the other day, and I shared this on my ex account, there was a Black woman who worked at Burger King. She was the manager, and her son worked there with her. Her son's about 15 years old. So he got like 2 or 3 of his friends, I think it was 2, but he got his mom to hire them at Burger King as well, so that they wouldn't be out of the streets during the summer and they could be working and making money and be productive. Okay. Well, guess what? The video went viral. Okay. And then they all got fired from Burger King. Now, I would suggest the boycott, but who really eats there anyway? Okay. So, yeah. So they all got fired. They claimed, the corporate office, that is, claimed that it was nepotism and favoritism or something like that. But they fired all of them. Isn't that something? I mean, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Okay, trying to do the right thing and keep kids out of the streets so they won't be in trouble. Okay, so they'll be making money for themselves. They can buy their own school supplies, things like that. They can become productive and learn how, the value of a dollar, because it always means more when you work for it yourself, right? But they all got fired. Isn't that some low down, dirty bullshit?
I just want y'all to know Kai James was found at Job Corps hanging.
Now, I know we saw this video, but I just want you all to keep this man's memory in your mind, because clearly I almost forgot about him. Okay, I literally did a video this morning, a TikTok, where I talked about all of the lynchings, okay? And from 2025 and 2026, I completely forgot about this. And I want you all to know that we need to keep our foot on the gas. We need to pay attention to the story. Don't let them sweep this under the rug, because let's not forget that they know who did it. And that person hasn't been arrested, okay? And they're getting rid of the students who kicking them out of Job Corps and threatening to arrest them, the ones who have been speaking out. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention.
From a fence, and there is a European boy who was there by court orders because he was previously facing murder charges that is going around campus saying that he hung that baby. And they are actively suspending every Black student who was protesting to get Kai justice. I'm about to play a video for y'all. In the beginning of the video is where Kai was found hanging. He was found hours after his hangage. But in the beginning of the video, I want to break it down to y'all, is the cafeteria or the fence where he was found hanging. And then I want to show, in the video is also showing the cameras that surrounded that area, but nobody knows nothing now.
Hey, Turner Job Corps, riddle me this. So if Justice died right here, and there's a camera right there, and y'all claim it doesn't work, yet there's another camera right there, why the hell could we not see anything? Or y'all not see anything? It's just not adding up. And then on top of that, there's another camera right there. So it's like, what are y'all on, for real? Because this is suspicious. Oh, and not to mention the additional camera right there. And then there's 2 other cameras right here and right here. This one's pointing directly at the damn memorial. So it's like, oh, and don't even get me started on this camera right here that points over here. Like, hello. There are cameras from every angle, and yet y'all have yet to run them shit back. Oh,
and he also had a dislocated shoulder because he was at the hospital previously before he got hung. I'm trying to figure out why the people ain't hearing about this. He won't be able to rest until he receives justice. Say his name, Kai James.
A darn shame. Okay, a darn shame. Now let's talk about this Judge Roach, how he refuses to recuse himself. As of today, Judge John Roach Jr. Has denied the motion asking him to voluntarily recuse himself from Karmelo Anthony's case, meaning he declined to step aside on his own. Okay, under Texas procedure, however, that does not necessarily mean the end of the matter. Okay, here's what has happened. Karmelo Anthony's new legal team filed a motion for a new trial and verified a motion to recuse Judge John Roach. The defense argues that Roach can no longer be impartial because after the trial, he gave media interviews defending the verdict and his rulings, and also issued a public thank you letter regarding the trial. They contend those public statements create at least the appearance of bias. Okay, now Judge Roach did not voluntarily remove himself from the case, and under Texas recusal rules, when a judge declines to recuse voluntarily, the motion is typically referred to the regional presiding judge, who assigns another judge to decide whether recusal is warranted. Now, Judge Roach does not make the final decision on the contested recusal motion himself. So the defense's motion reportedly cites several reasons, including Judge Roach's television interview praising the jury's verdict, his comments to media outlets defending his rulings, his public thank you letter following the trial, and the argument that these actions could lead a reasonable person to question his impartiality in deciding the motion for a new trial. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's go to some of these videos. We're going to be out of here in just a moment, folks, but I got to show you all some of these things that I shared on my X account. Also, I don't know what I did with this video that I wanted to show you all, honey, because they caught Bill Gates. Maybe it's on my X account. I think it is. But they caught Bill Gates having some chickens thrown out. And I'm talking about some of the chickens were alive, okay? Why is he throwing away chickens that people could eat? Now, funny thing is, he's the main one trying to get us to eat that fake meat. You know, that lab-grown meat that he's been sitting out here promoting to kill us all. I'm so sure. There's no way in hell I would eat that on purpose, okay? I'd rather eat the bark off of a tree. I'd rather chew the grass out of the yard, okay? I would never, okay? I would absolutely never. Please pay attention, okay? Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share, and thank you in advance. This is all so nefarious.
Say you are wrong about everything.
That's adorable.
All right. The board is clear. The board is clear.
Let me say something. I don't know who this black man is, but he needs to run for public office, and I would definitely vote for him, okay, if I lived in his state. But let's continue. Well, he's actually in Louisiana.
Burned. Pam Bondi wrote that for you?
The state of Louisiana in 2025 deported multiple children, one of whom was born in New Orleans and had brain cancer. Donald Trump got the pro-life, Bible-thumping Republican Party to say, yes, we want more of that. As a matter of fact, send Gregory Bovino down here to harass more people. So I have no doubt in my mind that the map's going to pass. If y'all can give us less than 0 seats, you would do it. Y'all do this under the orders of somebody that said the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, that it caused reverse racism. RFK said that black children are overfilled on antidepressants and that they need to be reparented on different farms, all of them. Pete Hegseth constantly brings Doug Wilson to the Pentagon to give a prayer service. Doug Wilson is the same pastor that said that slave owners were on strong spiritual ground. I don't have no belief in no morality on anybody that followed Donald Trump. If you wasn't with this map, you wouldn't be underneath this president. You wouldn't be in your party. You would stand up, you would stand against it, you would speak out about it. So as far as I'm concerned, if you here as one of these Trump Republicans, you already showed us who you are. You showed us what you want to do. And I believe the country as a whole is rebuking your party. Y'all are in a death spiral. That's why y'all have to redistrict. That's why y'all have to cheat. That's why Trump got to go to Texas and say he entitled to 5 more seats. It's because y'all know what y'all doing is abhorrent. We letting our people die in Iran based on false pretense that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent say it ain't real. Y'all okay with all that. So I'm positive y'all gonna be okay with the maps. But the beautiful thing is, the children that y'all have made and the people that's younger than y'all don't support none of this racism that y'all want. The MAGA party is the last breath of the Confederacy. And I'll be happy to see millennials and Gen Z bury y'all. There will be no more of your party. The midterms gonna come, y'all gonna get wiped out. Trump gonna get dragged out of the White House, and I'm gonna love every second of it. Because y'all loved every second of the suffering that he caused to everybody in this country. And worldwide, we starve in Cuba. We bomb Nigeria. We holding Zimbabwe and Zambia hostage for their minerals. We don't want to give them aid support. The pro-lifers that say all life is special, y'all letting kids die of AIDS. What part of your Bible say that? Point out the scripture. I think everybody would love to see it. And we would love to see y'all in the midterms. Just to address some of the things said by Jay Morrison, he was up here, which I thought was pretty much hilarious. He said Mike Johnson is popular. Mike Johnson has negative 7% in polls. He said he wants to spread more of the conservative ideology. I think that's a uniquely bad idea that virtually everybody in America agrees on. The conservatism that y'all have spread through Louisiana has led to the highest rate of people leaving the state that y'all have been running. When you look at what's going on underneath the Donald Trump presidency, we have the highest amount of people that want to leave America. We have the least popular presidential campaign ever ran in the history of Poland. If we have more conservatism, what comes with that? Less education, more dumb people. The worst education in our country comes from Republican states. More dead babies in the hospital. The worst infant mortality comes from red states. More mothers dying giving birth. The worst maternal mortality comes from red states. The most war, sending our people to die in places for no reason, comes from Republican presidents. The worst recessions, 10 out of the last 11 recessions have been started underneath people who think like you, who think like Jay Morris, who think like Donald Trump. And what makes it beautiful is we see it on display. Miguel's over here say, oh yeah, y'all have an issue with racial gerrymandering. What the real problem is legislation. That's what we really need to take care of out of that. We got a bunch of people came up here saying, we don't like the way that y'all write maps. Miguel saying, no. All we get out of that is don't solve the problem. Let's just do whatever we have to do to save ourselves from going back to court. This is pitiful. It's a reason why y'all movement is this unpopular, and it's a reason why y'all have to cheat to have any chance of winning. And what's beautiful is the midterms gonna come around and you still gonna get wiped out.
Well, I guess he told them. Okay, no lies detected. Did y'all hear what he said? Honey, he laid it all on the line, and I'm here for every bit of it. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, we got to look at some of this nefarious stuff that's going on because this whole country, in my opinion, has gone to hell and a handbasket. And I'm not even joking, okay? Somebody stop this world. I want to get off. All right, so let's get into it. And oh, by the way, a YouTuber lost their accounts for daring to report on the Tyler Robinson. Okay, Tyler Robinson, the man who allegedly took out Charlie Kirk, for talking about his case, for posting about it or something. I guess they didn't believe that Tyler Robinson did it, just like many people don't. And I guess they thought that some other people did it, but now their account is gone. Please pay attention. Hold on, beloveds. I gotta let y'all see these thugs. Okay, I gotta let y'all see these thugs, what they've been up to. They are running rampant. I mean, who raids them? They are straight up ghetto. Y'all look at them.
Bro, what the fuck? Bro, that's hella Gatorade.
Look at them. They're stealing.
Bro,
Where's the news coverage?
Gatorade.
Yeah, just running red off the street.
Bro, what the fuck? Bro, that's hella Gatorade. Bro,
Now these are MAGA children. Okay? Even him, he's half MAGA. It's obvious to see. Y'all to pay attention. Why do they keep putting the arrow on him though? Because he's the only one that got some black in him, clearly. I want y'all to pay attention. All right. Shoshana said next they'll say it was all us and scrub the video. You know they will. Okay. Lieutenant Monks was saying her bonnet is cocked to the left. Wow. Okay. Not cocked to the left. Hold on. But there's more foolishness. I can't even show y'all that video because the man said the N-word. But he called this black man an N-word and then took off running when the man was about to give him the business. Don't run now. And this right here is so sad. This is what ICE did. Look at this poor little girl. She doesn't deserve this. This poor little child. Okay? This is so sad and heartbreaking. I really hate this for the immigrants. Okay? Especially the children. Because the children are innocent. They didn't do anything to anyone. So sad. Their parents out here being mistreated and killed, and even some of them. I had to hurry up and skirt past that. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I want y'all to see this. I mean, sometimes they just can't mind their own business. Pay attention. Obsessed with black folk.
He's being detained for wearing a hoodie. Yeah, I'm not joking. He's being detained for wearing a hoodie.
It's a warm day to be wearing that jacket. You're going to get hit by a car here. You're going to get hit by a car here. Stop. Stop. I'm asking you to stop. I'm asking you to stop. I'm doing a traffic stop on you. You walked across the road in front of a car.
This happened in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. The officer is Jake Tyson. And according to the father, the young man has severe eczema and he wears a hoodie to protect his skin from the sun. And trust me, I understand that. My wife has severe eczema and I completely get what this young man is going through. And we have to ask, why does this cop look like a fake cop? I have to be honest, when I was sent this video, that's what I thought this was.
Yeah, I didn't know he was a real cop. I wouldn't know he was, I would not have known he was a real cop, okay? Because he does not even look like it, honey. I would have gotten arrested for sure. Because, honey, as soon as he grabbed my shoulder, I probably would have gave him the elbow, okay? Because he just looks like a regular person. Please make yourself known.
Man impersonating a police officer. Well, apparently, he's not a fake cop. He just dresses like one. Either way, this is unacceptable.
It sure is. So you're going to arrest him because he was walking in the street and didn't mind if he got hit by a car and he clearly wasn't concerned, but you were? Sit down somewhere. Now listen to this. This was petty. This was the most petty of all pettiness. Let's get into it. I want y'all to tell me your thoughts after you listen.
He's cool, but I want to show you what people will put these officers through. So what are you here for, officer?
Okay, Justin, I am here today because your daughter walked down the driveway of your neighbor and discarded your dog's droppings.
In a bag?
In the bag.
Okay.
Your dog's droppings in a neighbor's garbage pail on her property.
Right. So then what did the neighbor proceed to do? The new neighbor on the Karen, by the way.
She took your dog's droppings out of her garbage pail and walked it to the edge of your driveway to return your dog's droppings in the bag. That's your property.
No, she returned, or she littered, you mean?
It's your dog's property.
Now, I want you to pay attention to how the cop clearly has taken the Karen's side, okay, because of her complexion. So let me get this straight. His daughter who's probably a child, not even a teenager, I'm sure, was taking her dog out for a walk. The dog took a poop. She picked up the poop in a bag and put it in the woman's trash bin that was sitting outside. Now, in the child's mind, she probably didn't think she did anything wrong. It is a trash can and it's outside. Okay, now maybe that wasn't the thing to do because it was her neighbors, but clearly children do things like that. At the very best, the Karen should have come to the child's house, knocked on the door, had a conversation with the parents, and told them that she didn't appreciate it. That's all she had to do. But no, she walked to their house instead and took the poop and dropped it there. Okay, I'm sorry. Please make it all make sense.
Happy litter.
It's your dog's property. It's your property.
So, wait, whoa.
That's not
Wait,
your dog's. That's
dogs,
not your dog's
that's not trash? So taking garbage out of a bin and putting it on the ground does not constitute littering. I just want to make sure.
So
because, bro, this is not going to look good for you.
No,
Trust me.
It's fine, Justin, because I understand what you're saying.
Good. I'm glad you do.
So, we went over this. You think it's appropriate to walk down a neighbor's driveway and discard your trash, and your neighbor should just be okay with that. Which, if that's what you want to believe, that's fine, but it's not appropriate.
So you saying...
So, again, you're not being criminally charged right
I know
now.
I'm not criminally charged. I know.
What is going to happen today is you will be indefinitely trespassed.
Okay, I'm not going to play this whole thing because it's like 6 minutes long. 6 minutes that I don't have time to waste because I already saw it once. Basically, the gist of it is he tells the man he's trespassed but doesn't give him any citation, no paperwork or whatever. And the man clearly tells him that's BS because you're supposed to give me paperwork and all of that. And, oh, you're not going to do anything about her littering. And clearly he didn't. That's how that all went. Now, listen to this. Y'all, when I tell you they have these flock cameras out here, okay, I want you to pay attention. They have these flock cameras out here, okay? And they can see all inside your darn car. Now, here's the thing. When they had those regular traffic cameras, okay, you could dispute those because I would never pay them. I would just send the ticket right. The citation they mailed me, it happened to me a couple of times. One time it was Reno driving my car. But I actually sent the citations back to them and told them, excuse me, but I don't know what you're talking about. At the end of the day, you need to find out who was driving my car. And second of all, and then they were like, well, when I called them, they were like, well, who was driving? I don't have to tell you that. I'm not supposed to solve cases for you. You need to find that out. And I sent it right back to them, right along with an affidavit and a letter of what do you call it? A letter of provisional consent. Okay, so basically let them know when you can prove that I was the one driving that car and you can give me the badge number of the officer who stopped me, then I'll send you the money. Okay, that's when I paid the $250. But they couldn't do it. But see, because they couldn't prove who was driving because they couldn't see your face. Now they can see all up inside your vehicles. Okay. A letter of conditional acceptance. That's what I sent them. But now they can see all up inside your car. Look at this. They could see inside her car, and she had a phone on her lap, and they saw that and gave her a $1,251 ticket. Okay, please pay attention.
Just got a $1,250 ticket in the mail for having my phone on my lap, face down, and both hands on the steering wheel. Pretty cool. Just got a $1,250.
Now, the phone was face down on her lap, so clearly she wasn't talking on that phone. Both hands on the steering wheel, not driving as though she were impaired or anything. And they sent her a $1,251 ticket. I wish I would pay it. Okay, I wish I would pay it. I'll send them a 30-page affidavit, okay? And when they figure that all out and read it, then they can get back to me. Because absolutely not. Absolutely not. Traffic court is nothing but a scam. Okay, now some of y'all need to hear this.
I sat and talked with a geneticist. And we were sitting there, and she's Caucasian, and she's been a geneticist for over 30 years. And one thing she told me is that when African Americans get a DNA test done, their DNA markers do not match African DNA markers. They're different. She said, I said, well, how is that possible? Because I know on my DNA test, it categorizes. It'll say something like 50% Nigerian, 10% Ghanaian, stuff like that. And she said, well, they have to categorize you. They have to put you in areas where your DNA is closely related, but it's not the same. And she said, so when you get your results, it just clearly shows the majority of your DNA come from Africa and it's inaccurate. She said, do not believe those DNA tests. She said, don't believe them. They're not accurate. She said, you guys, she said, I've been a geneticist for over 30 years, and every last African-American that I did a DNA test on, their DNA markers do not match African markers. She said, every last one of them. And I said, so what are you saying? She said, you didn't come from Africa, whether you believe it or not. She said, you didn't come from Africa. She said,
I'm sorry, didn't I tell y'all that? Haven't I been telling y'all that for years? Haven't I been telling y'all that for years? We're not Africans. We don't even look like them. We just have melanin, but we don't look like Africans at all, okay? You can clearly tell the difference. We don't even have the same culture, okay? And that's all by design because we are not them. We were already here, okay? This land formerly known as Turtle Island, we are the real natives, the indigenous people, okay? And that's who I identify myself as. That is what my paperwork literally says, and I showed you all that before, okay? I don't identify as FBA, African American, any of that. Those are misnomers. Black is dead in the eyes of the law, and I've told you all that since 2020 when I started this channel, okay? At the end of the day, you better claim who you really are, all right? That's what you need to do.
you guys are the indigenous people of this land. They've been lying to you guys. And lying. She said, your DNA proves that. And I said, but we look like them.
No, we don't.
She said, let me give you an example. She said, Asian people, she said, everyone, it's been proven that we all came out of Africa. That's true. She said Asian people left Africa and migrated to other areas and their DNA changed from Africans. She said Europeans, everybody started in Africa. When they left Africa, migrated over to Europe and their DNA changed. She said the reason why they categorizing you as African because you guys look more like Africans than any other race of people on this earth, but you're not African. She said your DNA proves that you are not from there. She said, yeah, your ancestors came from there, just like everybody, every race of people's ancestors came from there. She said, but once you came over to this land, somehow your DNA changed. It's not the same.
Now, I'm going to say that she's wrong about that. Our DNA didn't change. We were never there in the first place. Now, I know they want y'all to think that everybody came from Africa, but no, they didn't. You mean God made this whole big old world and everybody was in the same region at the same time or whatever? No, that's not how it works. Okay, that's not how it works. They're never going to convince me of that. Now, with that all being said, FBA Mr. CJ says, how are you an Indian when they kicked all the black people out? Kicked all the black people out of what? What did they kick all the black people out of? Their tribes? What are you talking about? First of all, the Indians come from India. Okay, the people here are natives, indigenous. Okay, at the end of the day, the bottom line is those people are us. All right, that's how I am. Who I am. Okay. I know who I am, honey. Clearly you don't. Okay. I don't go by made up terms. That's just what I don't do. I go by what I actually authentically am, what my grandmother taught me that I am. And I know exactly who I am. You see, here's the thing. Back around 1933, the U.S. government started declassifying black people who were here, who are the real natives, okay, the aboriginals and indigenous ones of this country. They started declassifying them. They started changing them to colored, okay, and then it was Negroes. Or maybe it was Negroes first and then colored. I forget because they've changed it so many times. Okay, and then it was black, and then it was African American. These are all misnomers. Okay, that's why you're not going to get reparations until you call yourself what you really are. And that's just the fact of the matter. Now, take it or leave it. I want my reparations because I'm owed them. I'm due them. But the bottom line is they know exactly what they're doing. They keep changing the goalposts and calling you something different. Okay, at the end of the day. And if you look at your birth certificate, not your birth certificate, because they stopped putting the race on there at a certain point, but if you look at your mother, father, or your grandparents' birth certificate, if their birth certificate says colored, if their birth certificate says Negro, then you are indigenous to this land. That's what you are. Okay, that's how you know. I don't care if you're talking about the people, the so-called Indians now, the so-called natives that walk around with the headdresses and all of that. If you want to say that they're the ones that kicked out the black people, they didn't kick us out. They just created their own. Okay, many of them are $5 Indians who are really Caucasians who paid the courthouse people they knew $5 to put them down as the natives, the indigenous people, so they could get all the benefits. And see, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to how throughout history, the white man has always stolen our identity to keep us from getting what we are due. We're the ones that are supposed to have those reservations. We're the ones that are supposed to be getting reparations, not them. Okay, we are the real indigenous people of this land. And it's so sad that people don't realize that and too foolish to believe it or even investigate it. And if you think back to back in the 70s, you go look up Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan knew who she was. Pam Grier. They all knew that they were the indigenous people. They wore headdresses and all of that. Why do you think they were doing it? Because they were wearing costumes? No, because they knew who they were. Okay, there's pictures all over the internet of black natives. Let me just pull up some. Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. We're going to be out of here in a minute. This video has already gone a bit longer than I intended for it to. Here we go, right here. Let me take this off the screen. Y'all see those people? Those are the real natives. Okay, don't be fooled. Those are the real natives. And the real natives tend to have O positive blood. Okay, the universal donor. All right, that's them. And if you look at my grandmother, and I've shown you all pictures of my grandmother before, you can clearly tell that she looks just like these people. Okay, when I was 6 years old, my mother was going on a trip out of town on a Greyhound bus, and a white guy sat next to us, and I'll never forget. And he asked my mother, "Is she an Indian?" Okay, because that's what they call us. Because when Columbus came here, he saw the copper-skinned people. That's in his diaries, in his journals. He saw the copper-skinned people, and he called them Indians because he thought he was in India. Okay, please pay attention. Now, I don't know about some of you, but my mother taught me that, who I was when I was a child. Okay? So I've always known who I am. That being said, now let's look at this video too, or this story. Look at these devils. I want you all to pay attention. This is a darn shame. This is heartbreaking. Okay, a drunk driver wiped out an entire family on I-75, including 2 toddlers, because he chose to drive impaired. I mean, there it is, the usual suspects. Charles Dean Pace, 27, was going over 90 miles an hour and weaving between lanes when he hit a disabled car. Okay, taking all the lives of the people inside. Okay, Tyree Powell, age 24, Zakiria Dodson, 23, Nalani Powell, 3, and Carter Powell, age 2. He's been charged with 4 counts of second-degree red rum or murder and operating while intoxicated, causing death. His blood alcohol level was more than 3 times the legal limit. He should be under the jail. Okay, this is what drunk driving actually looks like. 4 lives destroyed because one man decided his convenience mattered more than anyone else's safety. This is absolutely heartbreaking. Okay, absolutely heartbreaking. This is a darn shame. So prayers and condolences to the remaining members of their family. He just took out 3 generations in one fell swoop. Okay, that's what he did. 3 generations. It's a darn shame. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I'll be back in the morning. Hold on. No. Sorry. One more story I almost forgot to talk about. The little girl, Javia I think that's how you say her name, Javia Harris. Okay, this child that was killed. Let's go to this press conference. This is all so sad. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. D Major says, aren't all humans technically from Africa? Didn't I just say they weren't? Did you not just hear what I said, D Major? Do you always have to be so contrary, beloved? Didn't I literally just say I don't believe that? Okay, God made this whole big world, and you think that everyone was relegated just to one place? No, I don't believe that. And if you do, that's fine, but I don't. Okay, now let's continue. Please stop asking me things of which I've already answered.
Good morning. I'm Marty Sawyer, and I'm the sheriff in Aiken County. Thank you for being here today, especially the citizens of Aiken that's come in. Thank you for being here. And I'm here to provide an update on the investigation that we've been investigating the death of 4-year-old Javia Harris. These updates never get easier to share. This past week has been heart-wrenching for everyone, but we've seen an outpouring of support in Aiken County and a massive joint law enforcement effort to search for and now to seek justice for Javia Harris. Personally, there's some very
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and exclusive access
words that I would like to use about Jamaria and Michaela and their actions. But I will not do that. And I will not do that to protect and maintain the integrity of this case. But I will tell you this. I will not refer to them as mom and dad or mother or father. They don't deserve that title. I stand before you saying this is one of the most difficult, deeply disturbing, and emotionally taxing investigations this office has ever worked, and it's weighed heavily on this sheriff's office, all these other law enforcement agencies, all these people behind me that's worked tirelessly to bring this to an end, and it's weighed heavily on our community. I am truly sickened to share what this investigation has uncovered. From the moment Javia was reported missing, the sheriff's office, as well as our law enforcement partners and first responders, we responded with urgency, determination, and compassion. What started as an exhaustive and complex search quickly grew to something that I would have never imagined. Now understand, I cannot discuss all the details we should have stopped the train. Understand that I cannot discuss all the specific details in this case. But at this time, I can share that a few human remains were recovered in an area known as Cedar Creek Reservoir, also known as Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. These remains were immediately sent to the State Law Enforcement Division, and through analysis, The DNA of the remains are consistent with being the biological offspring of Jamaria and Michaela.
Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to bring it back up for a second to hear a few couple of minutes, but he's talking so slow. Okay, he's talking so slow. These parents are devils. Like, what is wrong with people?
Extensive and deliberate efforts were made to destroy and conceal evidence following Javea's death. Our information reveals the use of corrosive chemicals and other tools that were used to accelerate the destruction of her little body. After this was completed, these two individuals poured what remains were left of Javea into the Cedar Creek Reservoir. These subjects went through great lengths to cover their repulsive and revolting actions. In my 37-year career in law enforcement, I have never, ever heard of anything so horrific. As a result of this information, it's unlikely that the entirety of Javea's body or any other remains from this point forward will be recovered. And I'll say this again, we had all hoped and prayed to find her body, but with the information we've uncovered, that's simply not possible.
They got additional charges for destruction and desecration of human remains. But here's what I want to do. I want to go really quickly to the interview the parents did. Okay, these are some real devils.
In a WIS exclusive.
The grandmother, who is the mother of Javea's father, Jamaria Harris, now has custody of the newborn baby that he shares with Michaela Herring. Today, our Billie Jean Shaw sat down with Justin Singletary, who grew up in the small town of Great Falls, where Javea's parents are from, and says it has been incredibly difficult watching this investigation unfold. He tells us he has been in daily contact with Javea's grandmother, trying to keep her encouraged.
Singletary says that she's trying to cope with an unimaginable loss and says that the family is still searching for answers and leaning on the community for support.
A sad situation, knowing definitely the grandma, she's a sweet person, always, love on people, wave at you when she sees you, and to kind of know, that she's going through this is pretty sad and it's hard, and we just wish we could make it better for her.
Well, Singletary also telling WIS Javea's grandmother is asking for the community's support as she is raising the baby girl that Herring gave birth to the same day that investigators say she falsely reported Javea missing.
Meanwhile, they're hosting a donation drive that's happening this Saturday from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Divine Oasis Salon and Spa on Two Notch Road.
That's a darn shame. I thought they spoke to the parents. But hold on, I want to go to this 911 call. Here go the devils right here. The poor grandmother, I know she is really going through it.
4-year-old Javea Harris confessed to killing their daughter and getting rid of her body in newly obtained warrants. Plus, we're hearing the 911 call from Javea's mother the night she went missing.
She was outside playing, and I came out here after cooking dinner a little bit, and I'm looking for her, but I don't see her nowhere.
And tonight we're continuing to follow the investigation into Javea Harris's death and the search for her body that's still ongoing.
Warrants say both parents failed to get medical attention for Javea after suffering an injury from physical abuse between May 1st and June 15th. Her parents, Jamoria Harris and Michelle Herring, are both charged with homicide by child abuse, with Herring also facing a charge of filing a false police report. They were both denied bond over the weekend. DSS says the couple had another baby the same night Javea was reported missing. They say that baby is in the custody of another family member.
And tonight, your Sydney Hood joins us in the studio to break down the warrants and the 911 call, which tell two very different stories, Sydney.
And in that 911 call, Will, Javea's mother was very descriptive, from describing what Javea was wearing the night she reported her missing to what she was doing at the house as well. In that call, Michelle Herring tells dispatchers she stepped inside to cook dinner, told 4-year-old Javea it was almost time to come in, and when she came back outside, her daughter was gone. She says she last saw her no more than 20 to 30 minutes before that call. She tells the dispatcher she checked the chicken coop, where she says she finds Javea every day, and she wasn't there.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm on the way to you. Just to confirm, where was she in the house when you saw her last?
No, she wasn't in the house, ma'am. She been playing outside today. And she asked me, can she play for a little bit more before it got dark? And I said yes. And I literally, her bath water is in the tub, ran, and dinner is cooking, and I came out here to get her, and I can't even find her.
Okay, is there a certain place she likes to play outside?
Usually in the chicken coop, and that's usually where I find her every day. And I just looked at here, and she's not in here.
From there, the questions turned into where Javea might have gone. Herring told dispatchers she had already checked the chicken coop and then checked in the wooded path behind their home. Herring also tells dispatchers that Javea is friendly, not afraid of strangers. Dispatchers asked if Javea had any health issues. Herring mentions autism, but no formal diagnosis had been made. She says, quote, she is very smart. She can carry on a full conversation. In the call, Herring also says that she is 39 weeks pregnant, telling dispatchers she cannot keep up with her daughter the way she normally would.
Me and my husband just now purchased in this house. I don't know about this area much, but it's not a good area. I'll tell you that. It's not good.
Okay, you say you searched the woods. Is that behind your house?
Yes, it's like a pathway right behind my house. And we usually take the dog sometimes in the woods to just let them run. And she'll come, so I know she knows about the woods. And but I look down the same pathway that we walk, and I do not see her.
We now know that everything in that call is not what happened. The arrest warrants that I have here say everything in that call is not true. Will, the warrants use strong language here, saying that both parents showed, and I want to read quote for quote here, extreme indifference to human life by not seeking medical attention for Javea after knowing she suffered physical abuse, which the arrest warrants say were at the hands of Herring.
And both parents are charged with homicide by child abuse, like we know. Herring also charged with filing a false police report, and on her warrants for that charge, they also mentioned that the mother had said that Javea was abducted. They conducted interviews. They found out that that wasn't true, and then that's when the mother also said that that she had gotten rid of Javea's body in another location. But going back to that 911 call, it is completely not true. So you hear the entire story as she's telling dispatchers. It's just unbelievable and shocking to hear that entire story happen, knowing what we know now. And she gave an entire description of Javea that night, even saying that she talked to her and that Javea said that she wanted to play outside a little bit longer and didn't want to come inside. The mother also saying that Javea was wearing pink Minnie Mouse pajamas and had pink beads in her hair that night. So giving a very descriptive image of what Javea looked like when she had gone missing. We know that's not true at this point and that she had been deceased for at least a month before that 911 call happened. It's just unbelievable.
And knowing what happened in response to that 911 call, the massive search that started that Tuesday night, the hundreds of law enforcement that showed up to Bethel Baptist Church, which is the staging area that they met at before starting the search each day, knowing the amount of resources that went into the search, the thousands of acres that they covered, and the strangers that were worried about this little girl, wanting to find her, holding on to hope that she was out there somewhere. And Will, we've said this time and time again, but the community response to this, I mean, even right now, you can hardly go on social media and not see Javea's face or her name. And that just goes to show you how worried this community was for this little 4-year-old girl who none of us knew this time last week. I mean, the memorial that is set up outside of our house, you see it right here with the Mickey Mouse and
That is so egregious. I hate to hear stuff like that. I really, really hate to hear stuff like that. So sad and heartbreaking. Prayers and condolences, especially for the grandmother. She's going to have her hands full, and I'm sure that she's traumatized at losing her grandchild. That was a beautiful little girl. May she rest in peace. Now, with that all being said, we're almost out of here. I'm going to show y'all one more video because I just have to. I just have to show y'all this because this maybe will lift your spirits. Okay, because that story was a lot. But y'all have to see this. This is your local police officer. Okay, this is a local police officer. Hold on. Yes, indeed, says Queen. Can you please go back and read my super chat? Beloved, I am so sorry. I didn't even see it. Okay, I didn't even see it. Let me go back and find it. And thank you for your contribution, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Let me let this play while I'm looking for it. But y'all, check out this cop here. Drunk as a skunk.
Look at him. Look at him.
Oh,
look at him.
So
high as fuck. High as fuck in the job.
Like I told
Gonna
you.
come and deal with shit.
No, like I told you, coming off a double and you got on a bad back.
It's
so
all right.
relax.
Yep. Call your sergeant right now. Call your sergeant. Call your sergeant. Call your sergeant. I want your sergeant here. I have my rights to call a sergeant here. So call your sergeant right now.
All right, we're gonna
call your sergeant. What's your name?
Officer Mason.
What's
Hey,
your
real
name?
quick, Officer
What's your name?
They are.
Protecting him. What's your name?
What's my name?
Yes.
Officer Sapinski.
And what's your name? Probably don't even know. Can't even speak. Nope. No, this motherfucker's high. Look at him.
No, I'm
gonna lose your job, motherfucker. Gonna lose your job. Gonna lose your job, motherfucker. Look at him. Look at him. Gonna lose his job. Gonna lose his job. The drug motherfucker coming to the job. Trying to.
Y'all hear it? I am so done. Okay, drunk as a skunk. Make it all make sense. I don't know why, but for some reason, my chat is okay. It was acting like it was frozen. Hold on. Now let me see if I can find that super chat. This darn chat froze for a minute. That's likely why I didn't see it. It's even frozen on my darn phone. That was all crazy. Hold on, beloved. I'm still looking for your super chat. I don't know what happened, why this chat was frozen. I don't see it. It's not coming up for some reason. So anyway, you guys, I'll be back in the morning with your morning wake-up call. We got to talk about Nolan. Some more information on that story has come out. I have the receipts. I'm sorry, beloved, but I don't see your super chat. I don't know what's going on with my chat. It was frozen for a minute, and now it's only letting me scroll so far. Can you just tell me what you said? Can you just type it again, beloved, without adding a super chat? Just type it. Okay, yes, indeed, boxing. Just go ahead and type it again, beloved. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why my chat froze. Let's say, Queen, I was asking you to look into Jared J. Jackson and Daniel Irving. Now, Jared J. Jackson, beloved, I reported on him this morning. Okay, I reported on him this morning. That's the young man who was found lynched. Okay, that's what I call it. They could say it was a self-deletion all they want. But I did report on that. Now, what's the other person's name? Daniel Irving. I hadn't heard of him. What happened to him? Was he also found hanging? I have to look into it. Okay. Both murdered and stories being suppressed. Absolutely. Hold on. Okay, so hold on. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go to let me just pull up this TikTok I did about Jared this morning. I reported on that on here as well, but I hadn't heard about Mr. Irving. I have to look into it. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all so crazy. Queen, read the chat before he shows up in Atlanta and knocks you out. Who's gonna knock me out? Honey, if you don't sit down somewhere, okay? Honey, y'all don't know I got goons. Honey, I wish somebody would try it. Okay, it won't turn out good for them. I assure you. Let's get into it. So 28-year-old Jared R. Jackson was reported missing on Monday, June the 29th of 2026, after leaving the Electric Forest Festival in Rothbury, Michigan. Now, searchers then found his body in a wooded area nearby on Tuesday, June 30th of 2026. Okay, and the preliminary findings from the Michigan State Police indicate that he died by, guess what? Self-deletion. Isn't that what they always say? Please pay attention. Now, following Jackson's death, his family and loved ones have actively disputed investigators' initial conclusions, okay, on their social media platforms, basically saying that he had no history of mental illness, okay, no mental health struggles, and they're raising questions about the days leading up to his disappearance. Okay, now one thing that I found interesting is that he made a police report about an incident that happened with a friend. Okay, please pay attention. Now, earlier that morning, troopers responded to Jackson's campsite after he reported an alleged criminal incident involving a friend. Now, after interviewing those involved, investigators concluded that, in fact, no criminal incident had occurred, and Jackson reportedly left the venue shortly thereafter. Authorities say that Jackson left behind his cell phone and other personal belongings. His rental vehicle was later located in the Rothbury area with his wallet and keys inside before officers discovered his body in the nearby woods. Okay, please pay attention. And as I said, his family and friends are pushing back, saying that he absolutely didn't do this to himself. Okay, one of his cousins came out and they said that this is a cousin by the name of Jalaya. Okay, they responded saying, my cousin didn't commit suicide. This was foul play. Okay, and I'm really getting so sick and tired of them telling us the same old song and dance. No evidence of foul play. They did it to themselves. We all know, okay, the people who look like me, we all know that we do not do such things. Okay, I don't think anyone does these things, not even people who don't look like us. I don't think anyone hangs themselves from a tree. Okay, I just don't think so. Specifically, not the people who look like me. Please pay attention. Now, sadly, in 2025 and 2026, there have been several instances where people who look like me have been found. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because that's that TikTok video is almost 10 minutes long, honey. Okay, and I'm not even going to bore y'all with it because most of you were here this morning when I talked about all of the stuff that I said in the TikTok video. Okay, so no need to reiterate it. Okay, so now, yes, indeed, Boxing says, Daniel was a high school student who went fishing with white boys. Okay, I'm a woman who's watched Queen since 2020. I never go after her. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you, but a couple have tried it, but it didn't work out good for them, beloved. I promise you. Okay, I promise you, and thank you for that. Now, you all remember when Angel Love came on here? I had her on the channel when I was exposing Wig 1. And Angel saw me at Tariq Nasheed's buck breaking video premiere here in Atlanta. Okay, me and my best friend. And Angel took a picture of me or video recorded me and sent it to Wig. Now, I didn't find this out until after the fact, mind you. But she said she did so because Wig had told her about me and she knew I was going to be there or thought I was going to be there or something. I can't remember. But anyway, she wasn't sitting too far from me and took a picture or a video or something and sent it to Wig asking if I was the one that she had been talking about. Then she said that she was going to come up and confront me, but the only reason she didn't is because the guy that was with her told her not to. Y'all remember what I told her when I was doing the interview? I said, girl, you better be glad he told you that because you would have got dog walked, okay? You would have got dog walked. That's what I wish somebody that I don't know would come up on me trying to confront me about anything, let alone Wig number one. Baby, you would have got the straight business because I'm a boxer too. Okay, I'm not professional, but I have boxed and I always would. Y'all better check my resume, okay? And I know Taekwondo, so I'm very secure with that. But I was like, girl, please sit down somewhere. You're 5'5", okay? Okay, please, you weigh about $145. It's not going to work.
Should still be here today. Instead, his family confusion instead of urgency.
Not by Wig.
They have been met with delays.
Now, this is a story that Yes Indeed was talking about, okay? Let me put an overlay on this. But this is a story that Yes Indeed was talking about. Another black teen drowned on a fishing trip with 2 white boys in Texas. Y'all hear this? Now I want to tell y'all something. You know what it's starting to look like? It's starting to look like there's somebody trying to get revenge. I just have questions. Okay? I just have questions. I'm Rifling Crisis laughing because I said Wig one. Yeah, that's what I call her. She was the first Wig. Okay, and there's several more after that. There's at least 5, and Donald Trump is the 5th one. Please pay attention.
Instead of accountability, they have been asked to accept excuses. Before I go further, I want to acknowledge his mother and his family. We stand with you. We fight with you. We are not going to allow your son's life to be minimized or dismissed. Daniel was not just a case. He's a son. He's a student. He was loved, and his life matters.
There's a scripture that says, he who conceals his sins will not prosper, but he who confesses them shall obtain mercy. And a concealment was done in the death of high school student Daniel Mike Irving in Rowlett, Texas, earlier this year, April 16th. And his death eerily resembles that of the now popular death, the now trending death of Nolan Wells. Daniel Irving was said to left his home with 2 white boys, one of them Riley Johnson, and the other one, this one, Locust Roper. He ended up being found in the lake that they supposedly went fishing on. No one called his parents. No one got in touch with his parents. No one said anything, and his body was found 3 days later. Now, once again, this happened April 26th this year. There's not much coverage, so I'm going to let you hear the family spokesman and the family give details on how they feel that his death was not an accident and the Texas authorities did not investigate this case fully. Just listen. And I hope you can hear, it's kind of low, so I hope you can hear it. But, you know, if not, I'll amplify the volume in other methods.
Hold on. Lieutenant Milks was saying, wasn't this dude at the Carmelo Anthony incident? Yes, that was Dominique Alexander. Okay, their spokesperson. That's who that was, beloved. Cream Sherry said, get back for Austin Metcalf. I absolutely believe it. I absolutely believe it. They've probably been doing it all the time. Because think about it. Okay, how many lynchings have we had since that incident happened back in April of 2025? We've had at least 5 or 6. At least 5 or 6.
Just watch.
On April 13th, Daniel Irving returned. Daniel Irving left home in a vehicle with 2 or 3 people in this car. someone asked him to go allegedly fishing. This family and this mother continued during that day to call Daniel. No answer. Continue to call Daniel. No answer. Text Daniel. Use the emergency things that they had in place to be able to locate Daniel. All of those things failed. Another day goes by. This mother notifies police that this is out of the ordinary for her baby. And she literally gave the police certain options. And when I refer to which police agency that she reached out to, this was Rowlett Police Department. She asked them to ping his phone. She asked them to do whatever they could do to make sure that they could search for Daniel. We know that a couple of days later, that they eventually pinged Daniel's phone. And then the next day, they found Daniel inside of Lake Ray Hubbard. No answers. Nobody called. Daniel left a home with somebody, went out there, Lake Ray Hubbard, with something. But nobody called his mother, his siblings. Nobody called anybody, nor called 911, nor went back to the house that they picked him up from. Nobody. They were met with silence, and they were asked to be patient. Now, we know that there were two people that Daniel was with. And those two people, one of those individuals came into Rowlett Police Department with his parents, trying to say that this was an accident, trying to display that this was an accident. Now, rather try to repeat his words, I am going to bring his aunt in just a second to give a little bit of behind the scenes of what this family has had to go through. But all we have to say is that if an accident, why didn't you call 911?
Mm-hmm.
And it is okay for this family to not accept that as a response or some reason of justification on as to why Daniel is not here. No parent should ever have to bury their child.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there because if you heard the guy say that the guy left home with basically two white boys. He didn't say it, so I'm gonna say it. Two white boys supposed to go fishing. They came home, he did. His mother looked for him, called them, texted them, did all of the emergency measures they had in place, still no answer. Then she called the police. The police, pinged his phone a couple of days later. Then they found him in the lake. One of the white boys went down to the police station and said it was an accident. And if it was an accident, just like the man said, why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you call his mother? Why didn't you alert the authorities to what happened? Instead, you went home and told your parents to come down to the police station with me. Why? Because they probably knew somebody in the police station to help you cover this up. Let's listen to a little bit more of this story and the relative speak about the situation.
I'm going to bring over Recuse Blake. I'm going to ask her that she spell her the spelling of her name before she shares what she has there.
Miss Irving reported her son missing under unusual circumstances, which were indicative Daniel Irving had every intention on returning home, as his money and his ID were left at home. Yet the cries of Miss Irving regarding a mother's heart of knowing when her child is in danger were dismissed. This is indisputable. We, the family, are aware of the fact one of the Caucasian males provided a statement to the Rowlett Police Department on April the 16th, 2026 at 12:55 p.m., implicating himself as an individual who invited and observed Daniel drown, yet failed to call 911, render aid, and did not come forward until 3 days after coverage of Daniel as a missing person expanded. We know the other male Caucasian implicated never came forward and was only interrogated after the initial individual came forward. We know both individuals extended an invitation to Daniel Irving, and according to their curated after the fact narrative, of which Daniel Irving is absent the ability to speak for himself, went home Monday evening after observing Daniel Irving drown by going underneath the water, went to bed, and reported to school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, absent even attempted to contact Daniel's family. We, the family, are deeply inclined these individuals intended on no one looking for Daniel, fighting for Daniel, advocating for Daniel, and seeking justice for Daniel.
Oh, okay, so we can stop it right there as it relates to this case. Because as you heard the woman say, one of the white boys went to the police station 3 days after he reportedly drowned from an accident. And he didn't call nobody. He didn't do anything. But before he went to the police station, he went home, went to bed, went to school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and only came forth when Daniel's case began to get attention. And the other dude never came forth and was only interrogated when the first dude came forth. Now, y'all tell me, once again, I have to always reverse it. If two black boys were in a boat with the white boy and the white boy drowned and they don't say nothing for 3 days and then they come and say, well, yeah, it was an accident. Do you believe that these boys will still be able to walk free? So I don't know what they said. And once again, Rowlett, Texas, predominantly white town, 63% white, 13% black, more Latino, 16%. So this case is eerily similar. It's just like the white boys on the boat with Nolan. Nobody called anybody. Nobody came to the police. Nobody did anything until, he was found. Now they lawyer up. Now they delete pages. Now they do all of these things.
Absolutely acts of suspicion. Okay, I want to shout out this guy's channel because he does good commentary. I've seen a few of his videos. His channel is Taylor House Publishing. Okay, Taylor House Publishing. Shout out to him because he puts out good stories. Okay, anyway, that's all crazy. That is all crazy. I had not heard anything about that. The news clearly has not been reporting on it. Okay, the news clearly has not been reporting on it. Now, with that all being said, someone asked me why they don't get arrested when these things happen, because this is their world, beloved. And we're all apparently just squirrels out here trying to get a nut. Okay? That's what it looks like. These devils are out here running rampant. I want y'all to pay attention, but it's all going to go bad for them in the end, I assure you. Okay? It's all going to backfire on them in the end. And they're going to do it to themselves. You all already saw MAGA going against MAGA, right? They're going to do it to themselves. They're going to have a whole civil war, and we're not going to be anywhere near it. Okay, please pay attention. Except for the black MAGA, they'll probably get their dumb selves out there and fight. Okay, only to be put on the front lines. With that being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share, subscribe. Okay. And yeah, it is a bloodlust. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, you have to wonder about people who literally put their lives, their own lives at risk for an adrenaline rush. Okay. That's just not normal behavior. Okay. That is not normal behavior. Okay. It speaks to what exactly kind of person you are and what type of mindset you have. And if you don't really care enough about your own life, rather than bungee jumping, you know, skydiving, diving deep into the ocean and all kinds of crazy stuff. There was a girl, 13 years old. Do y'all remember she got her arm bitten off by a shark? And then after she recuperated, was right back out there in the ocean surfing again. Now, I'm sorry, that's crazy. Okay, that's crazy work. Anyway, with that all being said, I'm up out of here. Love you all to life. Enjoy the rest of this evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got